movie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner and operator of Something Wicked Entertainment Events, and I want to welcome you to my program in which I take an individual horror film from any different subgenre at any different decade, and me and my special guest sit back, relax, and we have a conversation about that film, which means we kind of talk about it, we dissect it, we kind of pull the guts out. We kind of do all that for your entertainment, mind you, because this is a horror podcast and we want to entertain you as much as possible. That being said, it is a conversation piece, so we do hope that you enjoy our conversation, whether you enjoy the movie itself or not. That being said, the film we're doing today is one of those types of movies in which it is very infamous, and we're going to get into some of the reasons why. And that is Jaws 3D from 1983, and this is part of our franchise-themed month. So in addition to this episode, you can check out all of the episodes we have on all the different sequels and original Jaws films, and we hope that you do. If you have not seen the film Jaws 3D, we do suggest you stop the podcast and go watch the film. But if you don't do that for obvious or some reasons, you can just sit back and relax and enjoy our conversation about that. So without further ado, we're going to get to introducing my guests for today. And we have a lot of guests because we have a lot of stuff to talk about in this film. And I want to bring on Mr. Dave Watkins, Mr. Thomas Tenorello, and Mr. John Conkle, three of my esteemed colleagues who we are all going to enjoy talking about this
We're
film.
gonna dive into Jaws 3.
Boom. That's right. That's right. We're gonna dive in right into its jaws and then just be suckled on like a gobstopper, like a human gobstopper.
Yeah.
Well, it's like dive into like the water, because it's in the water, like literally.
Got it. I'm spoiling the movie.
Well,
like Tom's a shark now. All right.
Yeah. He's a shark now. So you all
too bad they can't see that because that's frightening right there, man.
For those of you at home who can't, for those of you at home who can't see me, I am dressed in my shark priestly outfit that has it's basically a shark towel. It's like a thing like the kind of thing you'd wrap a toddler in. And I just thought it would be very appropriate to wear this because it's ridiculous, like this movie is, and it's got a little shark thing over my head.
All right. So as before with the other films in this franchise, what we've been doing is kind of giving people an overview of our kind of take on this film, our kind of a story about why we either like or loathe or everything in between, while also giving an impression of what our first impressions of this movie actually is. And since there's so many of us, we're going to start with Mr. Dave right now to see what was kind of your reaction and impression of this film when you first saw it, and when did you actually see it?
Yeah, so this is when I saw it on television when I was probably maybe in my teens or before, somewhere around and then. Edited, not that there's a lot of violence in it, but I kind of liked it the first time I saw it. There was definitely, it's supposed to be 3D. It wasn't 3D when I saw it. There's the 3D effects all look really, they stand out as being bad, even when you're watching it on TV. But there's a part where the shark comes through the glass. It's always, even then, I was just like, that scene is just stuck in my head as being really, really bad. But as far as the rest of the film at the time, I kind of enjoyed it. It is, it's probably of the Jaws movies, it's probably the one I've seen more. Not by choice necessarily, but
I couldn't hold back my laugh on that one. All right, is that what you want to start off with, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, that's my impression. That's like when I think of Jaws 3, I just think of Louis Gossett Jr. and the slow motion thing, and then the shark coming towards the glass, and then it's just like weird animation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I guess they did the best they could at the time. Considering Jaws 2 probably had a bigger budget, but they were able to keep that without any animation in it. This one has animation and it looks really bizarre when you see it.
All right, we're gonna move on to you next, Conkle. Kind of do the same thing David told us.
Sure. Just general impressions. Okay. And so I first saw this in 83 at the theater. All right, in 3D. Still remember I still remember the trailer for Metal Storm, the destruction of Jared Sin being played before the trailer, before the movie, and I was going like, that looks incredible. Because I guess I was summer of '83, so I was 83, so I was 7 about to turn 8. All right. And so yeah, Metal Storm looked amazing. All right, so
how
but I
was
would.
Metal Storm when you saw it?
Oh no, didn't live up,
Not
man.
good.
Didn't live up.
Yeah.
I would probably appreciate it more now because I like Italian Mad Max ripoffs a whole lot, you know.
That's
And
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what it is. I love
yeah,
that movie, dude.
yeah. I want to go back and see it.
When I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it looked like a Marvel comic come to life when you were a kid, you know, or it looked like Thundar the Barbarian or something like that, you know. So you're just like, this looks incredible. But mixed with Mad Max. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about that. All right, Jaws 3 though was the first movie I saw in a movie theater. In the 3D, you know, probably the only one I saw in that '80s run. But it was the first movie I saw
in 3D, right?
Right, in 3D.
Yeah.
It was the first, but it was the first. I had seen movie, you know, went to go see the Star Wars movies and all that stuff, you know. But this was the first movie I saw, and halfway through the movie, I was going like, and my 7-year-old brain said like, this kind of sucks, and I was going like, wait a minute, maybe not every movie is amazing, you know. Maybe there are layers of movies, you know, because until that, I mean, at one point, my favorite movie of all time was Piranha 2: The Spawning. I just thought that was like the best movie ever made. All right?
James Cameron's finest hour.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like that ending where all the piranhas are going through the ship and like a wall of piranhas coming after him. I thought that shit was badass. And but this movie, I was going like, there's something wrong here. I'm halfway through a Jaws movie, and my 7-year-old brain is like bored. And this movie kind of sucks, you know? And so, but then, like you, David, somehow I had it taped off cable or something like that. And so I've probably seen Jaws 3 more times than any of the other ones combined. And so, but it was just sort of like it was just sort of a routine. You come home from elementary school, you'd put in Jaws 3, you'd eat a snack, and then you'd like, you know, then watch something else or something. You know, you just Jaws 3 snack.
Yeah, I don't even know how. I think I've recorded it off television too, and watched it a few times, but it's weird.
Yeah.
I think it was because of the time frame. I think that one was played more than the other ones. They played it more.
Absolutely. And I think, and so I've seen it a lot. And I guess I watched it a lot because it was just one of the few movies we had. But I always kind of just knew this movie was horrible. But not to get in all my things because we got 2 more people to give impressions and everything. Watching it this time, I was like going like, you know what? I think I like this movie now.
Yeah.
Mainly the contrast between the first 2 and this is such a different thing. Those first 2 are, first you've got Spielberg, you know, doing all the cinematic tricks and making one of the greatest movies ever, and then you got 2, which is kind of trying to ape that, and then this one here, it's not. It's totally from Mars, and I've had this new appreciation for Jaws 3. We'll get into all the reasons why, but I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying what kind of like The Bride being such a confidence, such a big swing. Jaws 3 is a pretty big swing on what they're trying to do here. And so I'll leave it at that, but I want to hear you guys' stuff.
All right, Thomas, it's up to you.
Hell, as High Priest of the Sharks, I'll weigh in. As I mentioned before on our episode on the original, the OG, the greatest of all shark movies, Jaws, the original. I did see this. This was probably the first one that I saw anything of. But it wasn't I don't think it was the first movie of the franchise that I saw, but it is the first trailer of any of them that I saw. And I had to have been maybe 5 or 6 years. No, I had to be like 4 years old when I was in, I think, my grandma's house in Florida. I don't know where in Florida. I grew up in St. Petersburg most of my life. But my grandparents have moved around quite a bit. And I remember they had a huge house, or at least it seemed huge to the small me. And it was very dark that night. And they had a big old TV in the corner and the sunken living room floor, because that was a trend back in the 80s, the sunken living room.
Oh, nice.
What is it? What does that mean? Like the floor was coming
No,
out from underneath?
it means like the living room is like on, you get to step one down.
Oh man, that's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
I'm those types of
Oh
houses.
yeah. It was killing people left and right. They had to. That's why it's not a trend anymore.
Yeah, you can imagine you come walking in there thinking everything is good. You just like step right into it.
It wasn't a steep step, but I remember it being there.
Yeah.
But
or maybe ankle pretty good. But as a kid, you're resilient. You know.
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah.
You can take that. You can take that. But, yeah.
Yes, and they had
grandparents. No way. Though.
Yeah, and I remember on that TV they had HBO, or no, they had Showtime. They probably had HBO as well, but they had Showtime, and I saw a trailer that said Jaws 3 on Showtime.
Yeah,
and it was that scene, the iconic scene where the shark very slowly breaks open the glass.
And they showed that in the trailer. They spoiled it.
Yeah,
well,
they did.
On cable,
totally.
Yeah. They're like,
that's the money shot.
Let's show you the worst scene, so we get that out of the way. You know.
I know. Well, dude, guys, I watched the original theatrical trailer for this movie on IMDb. They spoil it in the original theatrical trailer.
Yeah.
They had something, man. I was so confused when I first saw that scene too, because I was like, kind of didn't really know what had happened because of the way that it shot. It was just like, because he never connects with anybody in the room. It's just like
no, it doesn't.
Glass, and it's like, as a kid, when I was watching, I was like, "What just happened? I don't understand."
Yeah, you know? we'll get into it because that scene is all kinds of messed up.
Nice,
but yeah, you're right, and you're not the only one who thought that. But yeah, so that was the first thing I ever saw, and weirdly enough, maybe they were doing this at the same time. There is my mom would record movies off of HBO all the time, and Showtime and what have you. And that's how I saw a lot of movies, uncut versions of movies growing up. And one of them had that half a second of that trailer. So I just see that half a second of that trailer for Showtime again and again. But I don't remember which movie it was on. Like, it wasn't Jaws 3. Yeah. She never recorded, I don't think, any of the Jawses on VHS. I don't know why. I think she thought maybe they were too violent for me.
Yeah. What did you, as a kid, when you saw that shot on the trailer, what did you think of it then?
I had no thoughts. There were no thoughts because I had no context. Yeah. I had no clue. All I thought was, this is terrifying. That's all I thought.
Oh, you're scared of it. You're scared of it.
I was terrified of it because I did not understand it. Yeah. I knew what a shark was, but I did not know what the heck was going on. And I think maybe the inclination, and maybe the whole point was to make you think that the shark was coming out of your TV.
Yeah. It looks like that. It looks like a cartoon almost. I almost looks like they're watching it on a monitor, and it's just like a cartoon coming up to the glass.
If you look at it, I mean, I don't know. So the director Joe Alves is a production designer, and this time I noticed that the viewport of the little Starship Enterprise thing they've got under there. I mean,
observation deck.
I mean, observation deck. It is like the aspect ratio of a movie screen almost, you know. And then I was going like, so yeah, it was kind of like I could just see them getting so excited in the writer's room, going like, and then the shark in 3D, it comes right out and breaks through the screen, and there's Jaws right there, and everybody's going like, hurrah, hurrah, this is going to be the weirdest whatever.
How did that look in 3D?
I don't remember. I remember it happening, but I remember the 3D not being impressive.
It wasn't that good when you saw it. It was just like
it wasn't like seeing Avatar. You're going like, oh my god,
it's Anaglyph.
Anaglyph, right?
Back in the day when you had to have projectors capable of screening it.
I think we lost him.
Huh?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, that's you have a lot of issues like that back in the day.
Yeah.
No, I would say the floating arm was cooler. it's still kind of. I mean, there. Let's. Yeah, I'm not gonna
the
get.
floating arms.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
But yeah, that was my first impression of the movie at all. And then years later, after I'd seen Jaws, mostly, I don't think I ever actually saw Jaws all the way through until I was in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
But then I saw like most of Jaws too. I do remember at one point like finding out there was a franchise and like asking my dad or somebody how did they kill the shark in each movie. So like I needed to know how they killed the shark in each movie before I saw it. And then of course I do remember seeing the venerable classic that is Jaws 4, The Revenge, on HBO many times, very late at night. I don't know why they kept showing it like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, they did. I remember that too.
Yeah. So that was the first time I think I'd ever saw. I think maybe that might have been. I may have saw the ending of Jaws 4 before I saw the first Jaws movie. Because for me, the shark getting impaled, spoilers for that movie, by the way, is like my ideal death of the shark. Also because at the time there was a Nintendo game.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very much taking from Jaws 4. So we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that when we get into Jaws 4. But yeah, that was kind of my whole experience of this as a franchise. But I don't think I ever actually like sat down in one sitting. I have seen the whole thing, but not all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I think my brain has been able to piece it together over the years.
It's it's one you want to take in pieces. It's kind of we were talking about earlier. Watch movies like they're a mini series. It's just like you gotta take a break.
Yeah. You got to take them in pieces like Jaws does.
Yeah.
He takes everybody in pieces.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's hard to art, but sometimes he try to eat them whole, but it's tough.
It is.
He did eat Robert Shaw's character whole.
Yeah,
in the first one.
Yeah, and he
usually just takes a bite.
He does eat one guy whole, and that comes back to bite him in the end.
Well, let me just tell you, that's what I loved. It was just like Jaws loves eating people so much that he's just like, I'm just going to savor this one, man. I'm just going to like let it sit in my palate. I'm going to like enjoy the mouthfeel. He's like being a great white sommelier with that guy.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Are you got anything else to say right now, Thomas?
No, except that the opening credits to this movie are kind of interesting because depending on which version you watch, they're different.
Yes.
Because this movie, once it got released to TV, of course, they couldn't do the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just turned it to Jaws 3. So if you watch it as just regular Jaws 3, you might just get the Jaws 3, but they kept the Z-axis big 3D looking credits.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual Jaws 3 title is altered because it's not 3D anymore. But but I saw on YouTube they reproduced the original, and I think it's kind of a perfect symbol. I've never seen a graphic more encapsulate the tone of a movie than this title graphic does. Because it comes out in red and orange, and then you see the words Jaws 3D, and then it cracks open like the title itself is a shark Jaws.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes chomp. There's an actual cartoon sound effect chomp.
Yeah.
And then it says Jaws 3D. And I also think it's funny that the whole graphic, if you look at it carefully, is actually slightly off center. It's slightly to the left. It's not centered. I guess somebody, and I think that kind of speaks to the level of the special effects that are going on in this movie, where they try to do something, but it's just slightly off.
Yeah.
Well,
it was an early thing, I guess, but it
wasn't just an early thing. Everything they do in this movie, albeit very ambitious, was still feasible with the budget they had. The problem was, and we'll get into it when we get into it, but like this movie is a disaster in production in almost every possible way.
Ooh.
They actually had to reshoot a lot of special effects, and they did not have enough time to really do half of them.
Yeah. It was weird. It's like the shark in Jaws 2 which you see it a lot in Jaws 2. It looks a lot better than this. When you see the shark a lot of times in this, it's like, what the hell is that shit? You know?
Yeah.
But it's like it's weird though because of how well it was done in Jaws 2, and you saw it a lot.
Right.
But here it's like stop showing the shark. Just you got to stop.
Yeah. The thing I really hate about the shark in this movie is that it doesn't really swim very much.
No.
Most of the time, it just floats. Like it's a spaceship underwater.
Well, that's the thing. That first opening credits, it's kind of like walking through a coral garden. Like oh, excuse me, pardon me. I'm going like, how's that big shark getting in these angles? If this is supposed to be the shark's point of view, it's not like the first one is like dun going. You're seeing the bottom like go by. This is kind of like it's just sort of like hanging out. You know,
well, I think, you know what I think, John? I think that we're led to believe, because spoilers, and this was actually one of the great innovation ideas of this movie. As horrible as this movie is, it did have good ideas. I think there's a reason for that. But I think we're led to believe that this is not the shark that we're seeing the point of view. I think this is the other shark.
Yeah, I think probably. It does kill it. Yeah, it kills a fish, and the fish's head is like 3D.
Instead of opening with a killing of people, it just
it
kills a
fish head. Yeah. It kills a fish.
It didn't just kill it, man. It ate its whole body and let its head just hang out there to be in 3D. So.
Yeah, and I love that the head is still trying to breathe. Its mouth is still opening and closing.
Well, think about the ideals back in when 3D was being utilized back then. You know, that's what we saw in, Friday 13th Part 3D, and we saw it in 3D this one, and Amityville,
Amityville 3D.
Demon. Yeah. I mean,
Coming At Ya.
Coming At Ya was earlier than that.
Oh, it was?
Oh, yeah.
Did that start the whole craze?
Yeah, that started. I think that started the craze before there was an actual craze. But yeah.
Like, hey, we can do this. Yeah.
We have actually seen that movie. Actually, now.
I guess every 15 or 20 years they bring it back again. And it's like, hey, everybody, we could do 3D. Check it out. It goes about a year or two.
The Mask 3D from Canada, the Canadian movie, The Mask 3D. That's one of the early versions of 3D.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Eric Stoltz in it, right?
No, that's a different movie. Also not to be confused with The Mask with Jim Carrey, which is a movie that movie, if somebody did a good conversion, I think that movie would look good in 3D.
Yeah, probably would.
Yeah. So my story is going to be completely off the cuff with all of you. I did grow up with this film, and I do not remember when I saw this film. I do remember seeing an uncut version, so I saw it on HBO, because I know we had HBO back then. My parents were all about that, so I did not watch this one on TV. I did see it when it was on cable. I believe it HBO. I don't remember if I ever had Cinemax or Showtime back then. I do remember having HBO my entire growing up. My mother did not. Cool. My mother didn't really like recording movies off of TV, because then they'd have the commercials, so she'd have me go through and pause it every time there was a fucking commercial.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
But the story about this for me is I never knew that this was a part 3 of this Jaws franchise for probably 10 or 15 years until after Jaws the Revenge. Wow. I only knew this movie as Jaws 3D, and I knew Jaws the Revenge. I never knew there was a Jaws 1 or 2 until long after Jaws the Revenge was released. So for me, this is the epitome. This was the first movie I saw with a fucking shark in it. And the only other movie I can remember seeing as a kid back then was Orca, the killer whale.
Yeah.
But that was a shark. I don't recall ever seeing any other shark movie other than this movie. So this became one of the films I saw a billion times growing up. Not just because I loved this film as a kid, but also because it has two of my favorite actors of all time in it, which is Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid, I watched every film he did in the 80s, from Dreamscape to DOA to Suspect to Enemy Mine. I was there for every Dennis Quaid movie. Now, that being said, because he had Louis Gossett Jr. in it, and I saw one of the greatest black African American actors ever, in my opinion. I was a huge fan back then. I still am a huge fan now. because he doesn't die in this movie, I've seen this movie a billion times because he is like one of the people that I idolized as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched this film a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
his character's hilarious.
He is hilarious.
He's in charge. He's running the show.
He's running everything. He's in charge. He's all decked out in his suits, and he got the French fucking name and shit. Like,
I love the way he says it over the intercom.
Dude,
every time, Calvin Bouchard.
And so every time I saw this movie, I love this movie. The only scene in this movie as a kid that got me and said I really hated was the very, very last scene with the two fucking dolphins that jump up, and that is literally the only scene that's like, okay,
I think they really thought people cared about the dolphins more than they were. Because to me, the dolphins have always been eye rolling. It's like it's real cheesy. And instead of like showing Louis Gossett Jr. again, they're going to show the dolphins. So
exactly. That was the only thing. I knew that he survived, but we don't go back to those him and the one female assistant who survived. They hear like these.
Because he has to survive because he takes her and he does the kind of heroic thing and he helps her out. If there would be no point.
No, poor nephew, man.
But she's kind of hot, So it's like
I was like, damn, Louis. Girl, let the lady.
Nephew.
I think she probably could have swam herself, but he just had to help her,
Yeah, but in the 80s,
chivalry.
In the 80s, Louis Gossett Jr. was in all these amazing films. And it was part of my growing up in the 80s. The same with Dennis Quaid, dude. Dennis Quaid was in all the movies that I talked about to my friends. And none of them had seen movies like Enemy Mine or Dreamscape. I feel weird. I'm over here saying, fuck, I love Suspect. I don't even know who the fuck Cher is, but God damn it, that movie was awesome.
That's what I'm saying. When you're a kid, seeing a movie was the thing,
I talked about every one of these movies to my friends every time I went to school, and they thought I was weird because none of them had ever seen these movies. But I was talking about Jaws 3D, and they were like, "Oh, my parents will let me go see horror movies." Horror movies. I was like, "Man, my mom let me see whatever the hell I want to see."
That's right, cool mom.
But I did not know there was a Jaws 1 and 2 until years later.
Hilarious.
Years later. And even after the rewatch, some of us rewatched it for this podcast. I still absolutely love this film, and I don't know if that's because it has been with me for so long, or if there is something just inherently crazy about the fact that I love this film, and I hear stories that people hate this movie so much.
Kevin, I'm with you, man, because I've hated this movie. I've seen this movie a million times, but I've never thought it was good until this last rewatch. And then I was going like, I like this fucking movie. This is a good movie.
I don't think I've ever hated the movie, but it's definitely like, I don't know. It's definitely one of those kind of guilty pleasures, or it's kind of bad, but it's good at the same time.
It's mostly guilty.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is, the thing would be, did you grow up watching it when it came out, or did you not grow up? Did you watch
That's
it
probably true
later? Because when you're growing up with it, and I did not know there was a Jaws 1 and 2. This is literally the only shark movie I'd ever seen at that time. I didn't watch all the 70s, 80s fucking Jaws ripoffs from Italy and all. There are a ton of them that came out, but I didn't see any of them.
It's funny because you mentioned that, because I feel like this movie kind of opened the floodgates for that wave. Because I feel like, because this movie, I think this came out in 83, and like just before and just after this, you see the floodgates of all those Italian ripoffs, and also I think this is the first time in the series that it hits high camp. I mean, we just talked about how the opening credits are. The title literally chomps at you. There's also this kind of Jurassic Parkishness to the movie. It's like, it's almost like, since the shark is now 35 feet long, as opposed to 20-footer in the first movie, 25 if you believe Quint, it's almost, and because there's several moments where the shark just assaults the park, the animals in the park, the divers in the park, and then one actually really good scene where the shark is attacking people in the aquarium ? It's not really an aquarium. It's more like a. I mean, the park does have an aquarium.
Talk about the underwater tunnels.
The tunnel.
They say they're 40 foot down, so it's pretty deep. But at the same time, a 35-foot shark is going to be pretty easy to see, I would think. In this,
and it sneaks up on all these people, and they're all running, and they're running down the tube, and the shark just pounds his nose or her nose ? Against the glass, and the water goes all over.
It takes like one hit, and that thing is not made very good. It takes one hit, and that thing's leaking. You know,
it's like I know, right? It's like, I mean, we'll get into it, but like at the average thickness of glass in an aquarium anywhere is about 5 or 4.5 feet of thick. Yeah,
but glass. It leaks on on the metal part. That's where it starts leaking. But it's not made very good apparently, because if the shark hits it, I mean, the shark just comes up and.
They're not expecting a shark to hit it. A 35-foot shark to hit it, guys. There's not supposed to be sharks where that theme park is.
But you know, it's funny though that the people always panic instead of like saying, "Hey, cool, look, a shark! I'm like behind glass, it can't get me." They're like, "Oh my God, it's a shark!" You know, my assumption would be it can't get me because I'm behind glass, but then it hits the glass, and then it's like, oh shit, it's a shark. You know?
Yeah, realistically, Dave, that's what would happen. But this movie is not concerned with realism in the slightest. This movie is high camp, and I would say with that sequence, this movie is basically a kaiju movie. This movie turns the shark. This movie turns the shark from the first movie basically into an underwater Godzilla.
I think it's high camp because of hindsight. Came out, it was designed to be a huge summer blockbuster film for everyone to go to. I don't think it was high. I think you think it's high camp now because of the shoddy CGI. I say CGI. It's not CGI. 3D it's not CGI. Pre-CGI. The 3D effects and everything else that came with it. I think and the fact that there's so much infamy following the movie is why you would consider it high camp. But I don't think this was high camp when it came out.
I don't know, Kevin. I mean, I think there was. I mean, the development of this movie, the story of the development of this movie is almost more interesting than the movie itself. And to some people, it is more interesting than the movie itself because there are so many. I can't think of another instance. I'm sure there is, but I can't think of another instance where one single motion picture went through so many wildly different permutations before it finally came to the screen. The very first pitch for this movie was a parody of the first movie called, and listen to this, folks. The title was going to be Jaws 3, People Zero. The greatest title in motion picture history.
And on top of that, I think it's supposed to be like National Lampoon's Jaws 3.
Yes, and it was supposed to be directed by Joe Dante.
Yeah.
Right.
It would have been kind of cool with Joe Dante, but it didn't go too silly with it, you know. Kind of kept it like matinee or something like that.
Well, Joe Dante doesn't really do camp either. He doesn't do he does comedy, but it's dark comedy with his horror.
Yeah. It's not like you're watching an Airplane or something, you know.
Well, he does like snarky, cartoonish Looney Tunes cartoons comedy. So he would have just went off. This movie would have been like Gremlins 2 in the early 80s. So it would have been amazeballs. But like apparently the only reason why we didn't see that is because Spielberg saw the pitch and threw a fit and said, "No way that's happening." So
I think it's better that they didn't go that route. I love Gremlins too, but
me too.
People hate
apparently, Dave, there, I guess Daryl Zanuck and who was the other producer guy? What was his name? Something Brown. David Brown. Brown. So those guys were the two big producer team behind the first Jaws, and I guess they liked that idea. But as soon as Spielberg said no to it and realized they weren't going to do it, Zanuck and them not only quit the project, they quit Universal Studios.
Yeah,
and
they really upset.
They got super upset.
Yeah.
And then right after that, apparently, I guess part of that is the reason why this movie was only distributed by Universal. It was not actually financed by Universal. It was some other dude named Alan Lander or something like that Productions. So that's part of the reason probably why, from a production standpoint, this isn't nearly as well thought through as the first two.
Well, it's funny that you said it's not a universal, but you said this before when we did the original Jaws, that Jaws is a universal monster, which I think that especially this one is Revenge of the creature
Oh,
from the Black
totally.
Lagoon. It's like the
Yes.
same plot, and it also has a very similar thing going on with the kind of almost a love triangle between three of the characters, but then it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
it's like very very there's, and then especially like the K character in this one is very similar to the main female protagonist of Revenge of the Creature.
Yeah, is she the one that Leah Thompson plays?
No, it's
Bess Armstrong.
Bess Armstrong. Leah
Oh.
Thompson's like a ski instructor that ends up like dating Sean Brody, like
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid's character's brother.
To
But they're-
be clear, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Watkins is talking water skiing, not mountain snow skiing, which would be Snow Shark, a totally different movie from The Asylum.
Yeah, that would be really hard to hide a shark in the snow unless it was really deep. It had to be like, yeah, but then you can't have people out in the damn snow if it's that deep.
I don't know. That
Yeah.
movie exists. You can watch it,
Yes,
see what they did.
I've seen it.
Are you talking about there's an actual
I think
movie
Kevin
about
said
that?
Yes.
It's called
Yeah.
Avalanche Shark. Avalanche
Oh,
Shark.
okay.
Yes. I've seen a lot of these movies, dude. Now that
Yeah.
the shark genre may have started with Jaws, but it has like proliferated
Yeah.
into like the craziest subgenre of movies out
But
there, where there's at least
yeah.
15 new shark movies produced
Yeah.
every year.
Spielberg knew it though. He's like, we got to keep this a little serious because next
Yeah.
thing you know, we're going to have Avalanche Shark on
Sure,
our
he-
hands or Sharknado or some
He
bullshit.
kept it back. He
Lava-
kept it
Lava
back
Shark.
as best he could.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lava
Lava Shark.
Shark
Yeah,
Exorcist. I mean, there's a
Shark
lot of
Exorcist,
stuff.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
There's Sand Shark,
Yeah.
there's House Shark, there's a whole bunch of them, dude. You can't get rid of
But yeah, House Shark. I mean, come on now. I mean, it's like you can't go from Sand Shark to House Shark. You know, you can do House Shark first, but then it's like, or does the house turn into a shark?
I might as well- I
It's
haven't
like-
seen
There's
that
a
one.
shark in your house.
It's like
There's a shark in
Monster
your
House,
house.
but it turns
Right.
into
Oh.
a shark.
That'd
I've
be
seen
good.
a lot of these shark
Yeah, it's
movies,
great.
and I have not seen a lot of them. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cottage industry. But like, so with this movie, what blew my mind in the opening credits, I'm sorry, we're still just in the opening
Yeah.
credits of this.
Sure.
We got a lot to talk about, folks. Batten down your hatches. So I'm not saying it's going to be a 3-hour episode like the Friday the 13th one that y'all did recently, but there's some stuff. Okay, so what I blew my mind, the only thing about this movie that blew my mind was in the opening credits. When I look at the writing credits, this movie,
Oh yeah.
and I see screenplay by Carl Gottlieb. I expected that because Carl, God bless him, he stuck with this franchise to the bitter end. He had a writing hand, and I think all 4 of these. And God
Really?
bless Carl. I met him. He's a sweet old man, and he
Yeah.
gave me some really good, advice about screenwriting and stuff. He's still alive, still doing well. God bless you, Carl, if you're listening. But his co-writer on this movie is Richard Matheson.
Yep.
Richard freaking Matheson and Carl Gottlieb wrote the screenplay to this movie. One of the greatest
Mhm.
science fiction and horror writers and fantasists of the 20th century sat
Yeah.
down at a typewriter with Carl, or maybe they corresponded, I don't know. But they freaking wrote a scene where a man gets like swallowed whole by a shark, and then somebody pulls a grenade pin in his hand, in his dead hand, while he's inside the shark's mouth. I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened? What happened? Now, maybe the missing piece of this puzzle might be the other guy associated with the writing of this movie. It says story by this guy named Gordon.
Gordon Trueblood.
Yeah, but the Gordon is spelled very weird, so I'm probably mispronouncing it. Gordon Trueblood, who apparently his father was like the founding member of the United States Air Force.
What?
And his early career was like he was a dependable TV writer who wrote such immortal classics as The Candy Stripers,
Oh,
which
right.
is like a nurse movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The Candy Snatchers, right? Yeah.
No, The Candy Stripers.
It says like Candy Snatchers from
Oh.
1973.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
But anyway, Candy Stripers is a good title too.
Yeah, I mean,
he
it's
also-
like Snatch makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's-
But they also did such great movies as Blood Vows, Story of a Mafia Wife, Savage Bees, and its sequel, Terror Out of the Sky.
Exactly.
Apparently he did Ants too from 1977.
So
That
he
one
is,
looks
yeah.
familiar.
So he's
well
really the brainchild behind Jaws 3D. All right,
because Killer Animals, because Killer Animals was his thing for a while.
Yeah.
I will say, not all of his movies were crap. He also did a neat little TV movie early in his career called Soul Survivor, which I saw on, I think.
That sounds familiar. So
it's basically I saw this on like Creature Features. It's basically a ghost story, where you see just this crashed bomber plane in the middle of the Liberian desert, and the crew gets found, but then the rescue crew can't see them, and they find out they're ghosts.
Ooh, cool.
And they can't leave.
Souls. Oh, that's a little different though. Yeah,
it is. And Shatner's in that one.
Nice.
You know, that sounds really familiar. I haven't seen it, but something about it sounds really familiar.
Oh yeah, it might be easy to find on like YouTube right now, but I saw it and thought, oh wow, it has a sweet kind of melancholy to the ending to it. It's really interesting. He's also credited the screen story, which for those of you in the know and in the screenwriting community knows that. What that means is Mr. Trueblood wrote a script, or at least wrote a treatment, and that treatment got sent to the studio. The studio got Carl Gottlieb, and Gottlieb called up his friend Richard Matheson, and they hammered away at a version of that screen story, which may have nothing to do with what he wrote. And then apparently what happened was Carl and Richard sent their completed scripts to the studio, and then they completely had somebody else rewrite it totally, because apparently their version, according to Richard Matheson, involved the shark swimming upstream through a I assume brackish estuary, and then gets dumped into a lake. So then you have a great white shark killing people in a lake.
Okay, so not
at all what this movie ended up being.
Not SeaWorld.
It's not SeaWorld. It's kind of cool. They actually they call it SeaWorld too, but that location it's probably how they were able to get access to it, so they didn't have to like make locations. But it's funny that they actually call it SeaWorld. It looks really cool. The location.
I was rewatching it. I was like, oh, it's called SeaWorld. I kept thinking of something else.
Yeah, I was kind of making fun of it in my head. I'm like, look at this. This is SeaWorld, like as a joke. And then they're like, oh, welcome to SeaWorld. I'm like, oh, it is SeaWorld. It's like,
it's so funny. Like those of y'all, you kids who grew up in like us kids who grew up in like the 80s and 90s, we all went to SeaWorld at one point. I think, right? Because it's in Orlando.
I never went, but it was a big place.
It was Shamu and all the fucking dolphin
thing.
Yeah. It was a magical experience because most of us Florida kids never got to see like. I mean, if we were out on the boat, we might see some dolphins at a distance, but it was the only place you could go to see dolphins up close, to see Shamu fly through the air, this gigantic black and white killing machine doing tricks.
Shamu's in the movie though, right? Isn't she like riding Shamu?
Yes, she is. And that's the one big problem I have with this movie is that we had a great opportunity here. If you're going to make your shark basically into a kaiju, why don't you have killer great white fight the killer whale? Because in the wild, killer whales and great whites are like mortal enemies. You should have them fight. Yeah. They should have fight. But I mean, you had the technology. Orca the killer whale came out in like what, 79?
Yeah.
Still, they may have had it, but they couldn't even do Jaws in this one, right?
No, they couldn't. They couldn't. But you know what they did? They tried to compensate. So they had the two dolphins in this movie, aforementioned. They attack the shark at one point.
Yeah.
They beat up his gills and do almost nothing, but they kind of fight him.
But the hilarious thing on that scene is like Dennis Quaid's character, it was Mike Brody, Roy Scheider's character's son, and his girlfriend Kay, they actually get on the dolphins and ride them, and it's like it's so that part's really goofy to me. It's just
this movie is bonkers. I mean, when you look at like the first two, and then there's this. Where, it's very, that's what I'm saying. What I like about it is the ideas there are very ambitious. They just didn't, maybe Joe Alves, and they just didn't have the money, or Joe Alves just didn't have the directorial, chops to bring these things. But yeah, I mean, when
it's a lot going with these underwater movies.
Well, the thing is, I kind of wonder what the budget of this is, because it actually does look bigger than the other one.
They did have SeaWorld, I think, as a location. The budget was $18 million. I'll see what Jaws 2 was, but
it looks much bigger than the other two. Bigger cast, bigger locations, and I think they spent probably a lot for the cameras to do 3D to begin with back in those days.
Jaws 2 was $20 million, but the problem with this one, like Thomas mentioned, I think the ambition behind this movie is what hurt it the most, because they tried to do things they couldn't accomplish.
Yeah, but I can picture the excitement in the room where there's going like, and then they grab the dolphins and the shark is coming up and they're having to ride the dolphins to get away from the shark. I'm going like, wow, that's like really cool scene. And I can just see like the movie really being directed by Joe Alves. You know, he did like the production design on like Escape from New York and a lot of stuff.
Oh yes,
and
like movies like Scream, Pretty Peggy with Betty Davis. And Sugarland Express. So he's worked with Spielberg before.
Yeah.
That movie felt like a Spielberg scene. It was almost like it was trying to mimic. Even they had music, like the music came up like all triumphant, like we're getting on the dolphins and we're going.
Yeah. Oh, and that scene has the best, you know. You could just feel the guys being excited. Oh, and then we're going to like build in the music up. Bum, bum. And then when the shark comes up, boom, 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 boom. I get, you know, the people in the audience are going to lose their shit.
That's like halfway. That's like halfway through the movie. There, that was kind of like the part that's I don't know.
I agree with Taco on that. I agree that energy is what sold the whole concept for this movie. It's a theme park. I see this film now as what the people in the room were when they were pitching the movie for Speed 2 Cruise Control. In there thinking all this stuff was going to be the greatest, 10 times bigger than the first Speed. We're on a fucking boat. We're going to be racist shit. It's going to water flying in people's faces, and Willem Dafoe playing the worst villain.
He's going to put leeches on himself. He's going to
like, and so I get that impression from this film, because when I watch this film, everybody seems to be enjoying themselves in this movie. There is nobody who seems to be late. They all know what type of movie they're making.
Maybe not Dennis Quaid, because Dennis Quaid apparently had a horrible time making this movie.
He's having a blast, dude.
He said no. Well, he had a blast, but in a different way. Because Quaid says that there is not a single frame of this movie that you see in the final cut where Mr. Quaid is not coked out of his mind by his own admission. He is so high on cocaine this movie the entire time.
I heard that too. Yeah, but
that doesn't mean he's not enjoying himself. If you see,
he's probably having an amazing time.
His 80s movies, he could have been coked out of all the movies then.
Well, I mean, it was the 80s. In fact, I think maybe everybody except Louis Gossett Jr. was probably snorting up some coke in this movie.
But the thing is, when you're watching Dennis Quaid, he's having a ball. Because the movie itself is designed, in my opinion, to be a fun movie. It's not like I said, I hadn't seen the first two before seeing this one. So going back to watching those two films, which were not nearly as fun, it does not make them like we talked about the second film. For me, the second film does nothing for me at all. It doesn't do anything for me. The first film I can take mostly because of Spielberg was a brilliant director back then, and even on those quiet moments, those scenes with just the villagers of Amity, you get these really well done little scenes, and the actors are doing such a great job. In this movie, there are no little scenes like that. This is a summer blockbuster movie where those little scenes don't exist, because it goes from one scene to the next, trying to keep audiences keyed in to the fact that there's a shark loose in a theme park, which is what people go to during the summer.
Right.
Like they're trying to make it scary.
It kind of predates Jurassic Park a little bit, you know.
Well, maybe
Westworld, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe they're going back for Westworld vibes there.
Yeah. But kind of, you know, we were talking about Shamu, you know, kind of in a post Blackfish documentary world. You know, you kind of see this movie. I kind of had a different lens on this movie too, where I was like going, another take on this is like Jaws being like the Avenger against SeaWorld, I mean, like, I kind of love this movie just because it's Jaws coming in and fucking shit up, I mean,
you know
it's
what?
just...
You know what? I think you got something there because my take on the first, my crackpot theory on the first movie, Shark, is that it's not really a shark; it's a demon in the form of a shark.
Okay.
And then maybe if that's the case, maybe this movie, it's not a demon, it's like the wrath of God on the people who are destroying the earth and messing with Shamu. So God sent a ravenous, like Leviathan, like angelic creature that assumed the form of a shark. But then again, the thing has a baby, so that thing is all out the window. But yeah,
it was kind of like what it was the old kaiju. What y'all were talking kaiju when I had to jump up, but it was like Gorgo. That's the plot of.
Oh yeah,
this is the plot of Gorgo, where there's the baby.
You're right. Oh my gosh, yes, it is the plot of Gorgo.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
and also actually, then the Triphibian monster. That one where the monsters have a beak and wings. I can't remember. Gappa.
Okay.
Gappa, the Triphibian monster. Yeah, they're trying to get their baby.
Right.
So yeah, that was the big thing. And also, like, let's back up with some science for a little bit here. That I remember, like, a big part of this movie was them being so excited that they got a great white. Yeah. Like they could when they got the baby great white, which is played by a real shark. When they got it in, they were so excited, and there's a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is because that when you go to like the Georgia Aquarium and you see the sharks in there, you will not see a great white shark. You will see tiger sharks. You will see hammerheads. You will see Sydney. You'll see every kind of shark known to man and God, except for great whites. There's a reason for that. It's not just because they're chomping killing machines. No. They're actually not like that at all in the wild, but for whatever reason, a great white, every time they have tried to get a great white in captivity, it never works. The shark dies because the great white cannot be contained. The great white cannot live in captivity. It has to roam. It has to get out.
Now, of course they kill it because Louis Gossett Jr.'s character is like so into moving it, and so it kills it earlier than it would have, but it would have died anyway because of that.
But they put it like they put it in a kiddie pool. I mean,
it's like they're gonna try to move it around and get it to live. It's funny how that happened in front of all these people too. And they're like,
"Oh my God,
the shark's dying!"
That's what I love.
It's like Creature from the Revenge of the Creature.
Yeah, exactly.
The Creature. Which one?
The Revenge of the Creature.
Revenge of the Creature.
Yeah, because they did the same scene, but it's funny though. It's funny that people saw it, and it is funny that they had SeaWorld let them shoot this at SeaWorld, where it's clearly is not SeaWorld. Like it's in favor of SeaWorld. It does not put them in a favorable light whatsoever. And it's funny how SeaWorld didn't notice that. They were like, okay, this will be good publicity for us. Right. And of course, it probably was at the time, but now seeing it, knowing what we know more about it.
Yeah.
I think
movie.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason why they let them do it is because they thought that this movie would be a huge hit, and it was. But they also realized, I think, when they read the script, if they read the script all the way through, which I doubt. But I think they did realize though that this SeaWorld, in this weird alternate reality in which this movie exists, is nothing at all like the SeaWorld that we went to when we were kids. Like that underwater tunnel with that mountainous region, that dry for wet, miniature set that they obviously built is nothing that could not ever exist in the Gulf of Mexico. The waters are just not like that.
Yeah, well, no, it's a lagoon.
Yeah, it is a lagoon. I did
so
read that there's some tunnels like that in some places. I was doing.
There are.
Yeah, but it's a cool location though. That underwater tunnel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I think this movie was really was like Joe Alves given an opportunity to direct, and he just got out that pencil and he just started drawing shit, man. He was going like, I'm gonna have a underwater fucking Jaws, man. Just people hanging out on the beach. I'm gonna be in the water in the Starship Enterprise, and it's gonna have all this shit coming out. You're gonna have the people are going to be, and he drew all this stuff. There's going to be the Spanish galleons with skeletons, and then we're going to set it where it is going to be 3D. So you're going to be like having all this weird underwater stuff. It's going to 3D underwater. It's going to look great. And it's like, it's so much bigger than the first two movies. But I mean, to a fault. And then we're going to have like this submarine floating around. Like they're going to be flying around like a spaceship.
That you didn't have.
Yeah. So it's kind of like kind of cool. It's kind of like something out of James Cameron there, you know?
Yeah. It's the one Jaws movie where the shark almost never surfaces. It's almost entirely underwater the whole time.
And did you see the fin in the first after the credit scene with the skiers? Which right when I was watching that scene right after the credits, you got these friggin' water skiers doing this cheerleader shit, like standing on top of each other. I'm like, holy crap! You know, I'm thinking. Of course, once you realize that it's all SeaWorld and they actually do stuff like that, it made more sense. But it was like, damn, that's some crazy choreography right there. But then you were fully expecting them all to die in that scene because you know that the shark's underneath them because we've been taught to expect that from the POV camera shot where it's like, oh, that's the shark looking up at his next meal. Oh yeah. It does show the fin, but it doesn't. They eventually fall off, but then they all get away. But
that's how the shark gets into the.
It was too early. It's too early in the movie, and we knew it was too early in the movie. We're like, they're not going to get eaten. You know,
that's something I got out of this one. They followed him. Yeah, I didn't get that. Oh, this is actually kind of like
it's a
setup. That's why that's how he gets in the park. He's chasing after the. Oh, okay. They actually thought this out.
The shark is in the wild. And then, of course, it follows them into the park. Now, he
breaks the gate, which causes
which leads to the first,
which sets up the next thing. Yeah. So the movie's kind of for me like a science fiction movie, kind of like an alien movie, where there's people in the space station part, and then but it's also kind of like a slasher film,
all the Jaws films are slasher films,
especially two. But
you're right. You're totally right. I think this is the one where the shark is most like a slasher. The problem is that as a slasher villain, the shark kind of sucks. Because here's why people who like slasher movies, I'm not one of those, but for people who do, part of the fun, quote unquote, of a slasher movie is watching people die in various different creative and otherwise artistically shot ways by your killer, whichever thing or creature or person that is. That is literally the whole reason you go to see those movies. That's why when I go to see a Godzilla movie, I must see Godzilla destroy some cities, break stuff, and if he fights another giant monster that also breaks stuff, I am happy. Do those things. I'm good. This movie, on the other hand, the monster has the monster / shark has literally one move: chomp, chomp, chomp. Yeah. That's it. That is all he does.
Yeah, there's a really cool scene in Jaws 2 where this skiing boat thing happens. That's really awesome. But
Spielberg and Jeanette Swarette, the guy who did too, were both knew this. They knew this, I think. So that's why. I mean, Spielberg had to not show the shark out of necessity because of the shark's mechanical puppet thing not working and blowing up, basically. But what that allowed him to do, though, was basically pioneer the whole POV of the slasher thing. It's because he couldn't show the shark. But also, he had the shark kill people in different ways. The girl in the first movie who skinny dips, she basically gets torn up above the surface before she even goes down. It's like the shark is toying with her and making her suffer before she gets taken under and eaten, which leads me to believe once again that shark is a demon. Second of all, then there's poor Ben Kinderman who just gets bitten in half when he gets pulled off the inner tube. And then, of course, there's a guy. Oh, the barrels. Those two idiots. No, the barrels. Well, there's the barrels, but there's also those two idiots. Yeah. The guy, the dock scene where those two idiots are trying to fish for the shark, and then the dock gets pulled off. So those are all variety of kills or near kills.
I mean,
this movie doesn't have that.
There is something in this one though that it kind of breaks the rule of the slasher, where one guy gets killed pretty gruesomely he goes under trying to close the gate, and he gets his arm cut off. But then the next time somebody gets killed, it's all happens off screen, which is like once you start showing a kill, you need to continue with that and not like have it not seen. The first one should have been because there's two guys on a boat. One guy's on the bottom, and you see his light go out, and then the other guy just like falls in the water like a doofus, and but you don't see any of that. And like at that point, we need to be seeing it. It's like too late not to show it.
Well, I think Joe Alves realized that he has to. Well, this is probably part of the chaos of making this movie was that he didn't know what he could and could not do because I'm sure he knew that this movie had to be rated PG. This could not be the first R-rated Jaws movie. It would not make nearly as much money. So whatever he did, he had to rein it in somehow. But unfortunately, Joe is not nearly as creative as Spielberg, and he can't show violence in a way that makes it palatable. All they can do is turn it into a special effects gag. Although there is a couple of shots that are kind of brutal in a way that I was like, I'm surprised they got away with this. Like, for instance, I think towards the end, when after the shark has done that famous iconic glass break in the main control observation area, there's one of the guys he just pulls out with his teeth, and then you literally see this guy flailing around, hear him scream underwater, and the shark just goes chomp 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 on his body, on his flailing body, which is obviously a person, and all you see is just red mist come out of his mouth. And it's like, yikes, that is pretty intense for a PG movie back then.
I guess it was so close to the end, they figured people weren't going to care anymore by that point. So.
I think that was part. I think the violence in this film is much more toned down because they tried to make a film that would appeal to a general audience more so than the first two. That's why it takes place at a theme park. Why we don't see so many violent deaths. I think even Fitzroy, who gets killed, we were inside the Jaws' mouth.
Yeah. Oh gosh! Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. That is the one time where this movie tries to be innovative because we've never seen this before. This is the one thing we have never seen in a Jaws movie. We have never seen somebody get killed from their point of view inside the shark's mouth, and it's pretty horrifying.
It's great.
The shark is having a hard time swallowing. I guess it ate too much, man. It was like going too hard.
He was big. He had the tank on. You gotta remember he had the tank on and all this stuff. All the bombs are on him. Of course, he leaves one out thinking he could save himself. Like, you gonna save yourself with the bomb in your hand? How's that gonna work for you, dude? You're already getting eaten.
Yeah, I don't know at which point, because he had it out, and at which point do you die when you're getting swallowed by a shark? I don't know, because it's like he couldn't have eaten him because he's still whole for the most part.
Yeah. And as we all know, this particular strain of evil demon sharks has a problem with eating eating pressurized scuba tanks.
Right.
It's kind of hard to, in reality, which this film does not actually play with because it's designed to be a fun summer movie. In reality, most of what would not happen. He couldn't probably swallow a diver whole, and then half the diver be stuck in his throat.
No.
It's a cool visual because they set up how you're going to blow him up.
Yeah. They come up with really cool ways to blow them up in each film, and that one's probably the most creative of them.
But, he doesn't blow him up in the second movie. He electrocutes him in the second movie.
Yeah,
he still blows up anyway. He gets caught on fire, then blows up.
And sinks into the water.
But still, but they come up with creative ways to kill the shark, and everybody's ready for it. But
when we blow up the shark, but that whole scene now Kevin, you're on my side. All right, the end of the scene where he smashes through, the storyboards for that scene are probably like amazing. Because like you've got from the first two, now we've got the shark stuck in a control room, snapping away at people. People are swimming around him. This movie, had it been made, now, Jaws 3 would be just like as like crazy as like something like Deep Blue Sea or something like that. This is it with like this is like it with like a a hand puppet and
it's a stop motion.
The one that's sticking out. But there's just this big mechanical thing. Anyway, but when they blow it up, I mean, now that was cool in 3D. I do remember when the shark, the jaws come out and floating. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's such a tonal shift from the first two movies, which are trying to be, real movies. And this is just being like popcorn, Saturday morning cartoon insanity,
Yeah, it's like when it's entrails and disembodied jaws come at you during the explosion. It is like you're getting assaulted by some like entrails of Gumby because they look stop motiony, and apparently if you look closely, one of the entrails is just a plush toy of E.T. painted red.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's hilarious. It's a cool shot, though. I'm not saying it's a realistic shot. I'm not saying it was probably even as good as they could have done in 1983, but it is cool.
I think we're not being as forgiving for the 3D technology, but you got to remember in 83. That was still a really hard thing to do. Cameras and setups. These were ginormous cameras back then trying to do 3D, and it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, Kevin, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but not only that, it was very difficult. And according to what it says on IMDb, Alvarez was trying like a new technique for processing the visual effects shots. He was trying to basically process them on video instead of film. And because it was quicker and it was more cost effective.
Interesting.
And and the problem is that when they finally integrated into the 35 millimeter print that was this movie, a lot of those shots are a little soft. In fact, some of them look a lot soft. So in the studio,
they still look soft. Even in 4K, it's
I would love to see what this movie looks like in 4K if they tried to restore it.
Yeah, it looks good. Well, it looks good except for the effect shot. But in general, the regular scenes look really good.
I was about to say, because like I have a question about that too, because like what happened was so they did this video processing. It was working, and then like halfway through production, I guess the studio got a hold of the dailies and says, "This looks terrible. You need to reshoot, Mr. Alves, all of their visual effects shots with the film process that we have been using since time immemorial right now." And he's like, "But I'm halfway through." He's like, "We don't care." So he did, which is why there's like two versions of like more than half of these effects shots, and one of those was the climactic one where the shark breaks through. Apparently there's a whole different version of it where the shark actually looks more realistic because the shark, I saw this on like Twitter years ago, somebody got a copy of it, but like the shark in the original like video process thing looks like it's much darker and scarier looking, like it's much more shadowy, and you can see the shadows of the rippling water on its back a lot more clearly, and the matte line is not nearly as pronounced.
Right.
So it's a much more realistic as that whole idea would have been, shot. But because the studio didn't like the way that it looked, they said, "No, redo the whole thing." So that's why the shark looks the way it does in half the time. That's why half these effects look the way it did.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it looks really bad, but at the same time, it would have been very distracting to mix VHS with film, because it would have been a lot different looking, especially on a larger screen.
Well,
and also I was trying to ask you. I'm sorry, Kevin. What?
I said it was probably Super VHS or Beta back then in '83.
Yeah, there was a term for it. I couldn't remember it, but like but you were mentioning earlier, Dave, like in the 4K, you said even the regular scenes look good now. But when I was rewatching it, like the the problem that the regular footage had still there, which is the fact that it was shot for 3D. And therefore, when they processed it, if you weren't watching it in 3D, if you were watching just the regular version, there's kind of this like weird kind of aura around the people. There's like this kind of weird like color timing to the thing. It's almost like this weird. Yeah,
I didn't notice it when I was watching it. It looked fairly natural to me. I thought especially that it has HDR grading on it, that makes the skin look very natural.
Really, that's odd because like it looks very weird when you see it. To me,
yeah, like, I got a DVD copy of it. I know what you mean, but it looks a lot better. It looks a lot more natural. There's some scenes that look really good.
I mean, there's other movies that did this too. Like, I mean, I think Jaws. Sorry. I think Friday the 13th 3D has the same problem. If you look at Friday the 13th 3D,
it looks good in 4K though, that one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's these when they first released it on VHS, these 3D movies, they didn't look right in 2D. They were muddy and it just didn't look, the color was they looked like shit.
Yeah, they've done some like restoration to both of those films, Friday the 13th 3 and Jaws 3D, but it's
cool.
You guys might still notice it, but when I was watching it, I thought, I'm like, damn, this looks a lot better than I remember it looking. You know, but the effect shots, but it's not like the effect shots look bad quality. It's just they look weird because it's like they're glow almost, like when that fish head, you see it for the first time, it's like almost separate. It's like it's glowing looking, and it's same thing with the hand on the gate when the guy gets his hand bit off. It just looks bizarre.
Yeah, it's just giant matte lines, you know.
It's just it looks really weird. There's no way around it, really. I don't get it. You know.
Although, ladies and gentlemen, if you all out there really love practical special effects, and we know that most horror fans do, you'll probably really like the seams that you see in this movie. I
was just about to say, Tom, with now everything being so perfect, and so glossy, that's another reason I kind of liked it rewatching it this time and going like, yeah, you saw all these seams, and the movie is kind of a mess, but it's a very ambitious mess. But I liked the big matte lines. I liked everything. The only thing I really didn't like this time is I think it really drags at the beginning when they're just going to the bar and just kind of, you know,
it's that friggin' is hilarious. There's like some game they're playing called Standoff.
Where I'm going like, Lee is that Thompson's real?
Character, it's like he's like, I'm the best standoff player ever. Like Sean Brody does. He's like, watch this, and he goes over there. What is it though? They're like trying to look at each other, and someone breaks.
It's like push each other over or something.
And everyone in the bar is like all like around him, like, ooh.
Yeah. I'm like, did that happen in Orlando back in like '83? Was Standoff a big deal or something? I mean,
but it's like he knows, like the Mike knows, he knows, like, you better not mess with him with Standoff. Nobody's ever beat him. What do you say something like he's like says something to her like funny like your shoes untied or something like that, and she looks down and he's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh man,
she's impressed too.
Yeah, she loves them. She falls instantly in love with them.
80s movies back.
But you know, when if you're good at something and somebody comes over and beats you, you're immediately infatuated with it.
That's it.
It's not like that motherfucker. I'm the biggest standoff person ever. Wait till I get you next time. You know?
Yeah. No. It's like, you're now a couple. I mean, that's I think that happens in other movies. You know, they one up them. Yeah.
So my theory is that Standoff was probably not written in the script. I think that was probably. I got a theory that was just something that Dennis Quaid and maybe one of the other actors came up with while severely drunk and also high on cocaine do during the scene.
Get drunk off of cocaine.
Well,
I wouldn't know, but I would assume.
Well, most movie alcohol is
high on cocaine. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Drunk and high on cocaine, which would be a bad combination. Yeah. But anyway, so apparently during this, because as I found out, that like making this movie was insane. Pre-production of this movie was bonkers. Shooting this movie was a nightmare and craziness all around, because like apparently during the filming of this scene, there was a bar fight that kind of erupted between Dennis Quaid, who was high as a kite, and an extra.
Oh,
because apparently one of the extras was trying to hit on Leah Thompson and get her autograph, because apparently Leah Thompson lied about her resume and told the producers that she had done other movies when she hadn't, so she could get on this movie. So I guess the extra thought that she was like a movie star in the making, which he was right, because it's Leah Thompson. She's incredible. She's so sweet.
I met right? That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. She thought, I met her in real life too at a convention, and she was so great. But like, so he saw this happening, and Dennis Quaid zoomed in and basically just assaulted the guy. I don't think he beat the crap out of the extra, but like he was getting boom,
handsy.
Getting hand. Well, yeah, he's about to throw hands. He was throwing hands at this guy. Now I don't know if that was really what the extra's intention was, but like, I've been an extra on several things several times, and that's not something you do with the talent. So to me, I would say, like, if that's really what went down, then I'd be like, you know what? Kudos to cokehead Dennis Quaid. He was actually had enough presence of mind to go and come to Leah Thompson's rescue. So I guess that's good after all.
Yeah, it was somebody had to break that up, because that's really ridiculous if an extra's like overstepping the boundaries and just distracting the scene like that,
Yeah, definitely. No.
Well, I was just watching this scene. I was like rooting again. Usually in these things, you start rooting for kind of like the Mummy movies. I'm rooting for the Mummy. In this one, I'm kind of rooting for the shark. I was just like, let's do it. Like, this movie is so light and frothy in these beginning scenes where that's gross to say, but it's just like everybody's like so well adjusted and happy. I mean, it almost becomes like meta. It's like, here we are in this happy place with these happy people, and everybody has happy relationships, and there's no drama. People are just all getting along.
There's a little bit of drama though.
But a little bit with the whatever, and
Fitzroy's guy, but also Sean Brody is like still afraid of the water. She has to coax him.
These are small. These are like sitcom problems that they're having. Okay, they're like happy little sitcom problems in this happy little world, and everything's great. And then Jaws just comes in, and the shark comes in and just fucks it all up. I mean, it's so great. I mean, it's just like making like, I don't know, if you go to Orlando, it's just like you go like, man, this is all so prefab and like I mean, it's impressive.
So wait, are you saying
yeah.
Are you saying that this movie is saying that these people are just as fake as the SeaWorld is?
Yes. It's just all like surface people and surface experience. And then this primal prehistoric monster, older, that hasn't evolved in 5 million years because it's the perfect killing machine. This prehistoric monster comes into this fake world and just knocks over tables and says like, fuck you and your SeaWorld and your fucking stupid lives.
I think you might be onto something there, Paco.
It's funny though. It's funny though. Like Lewis Scott Jr.'s character, when the Fitzroyce guy comes in, and he comes in with like another guy. They're oceanographers, and I guess kind of celebrities. How Lewis Scott Jr.'s character's like Calvin's like kissing their asses. It's so funny how he's just such an ass kisser.
You mean Calvin? You mean Calvin Bouchard?
Yeah, he's like these guys are famous. He's like, I'm going to have dinner with you in every scene I'm in until you're not in it anymore.
Right.
But it also, what was weird though, when that guy shows up, like Fitzroyce, he's wearing some kind of like maybe kind of cowboy hat looking thing, and he never wears it again. And the same thing happens when Sean Brody shows up. It's almost like they probably looked at the dailies and they're like, you guys can't be wearing like cowboy hats the whole movie.
And everybody comes in cowboy hats.
Yeah. And then they never have them. Then both of them change their wardrobe completely. Like the Fitzroyce guy all of a sudden has a Harry Potter shirt on. He has a shirt that looks like Harry Potter. Out of nowhere. He comes in dressing like he's coming out of the Australian outback at first. And then the first time he comes in and he's like, I'm a badass. The next time you see him, he's like, I'm Harry Potter.
Right. He's got like a little shield on his blazer.
And the same thing happens with Sean Brody. He comes in like a cowboy hat, like he's a badass, and then you see him like all preppy the next time. Somebody stepped in with wardrobe, and they're like, "Guys, this ain't gonna fly," you know?
Oh yeah, so
Joe Alves is like, he comes in a cowboy hat, and what about this guy comes in a cowboy hat? Joe, we can't have everybody in the movie entrance in a cowboy hat.
Yeah, so nobody gets a cowboy hat.
No.
I think what happens is they come to SeaWorld, and SeaWorld is just a magnificent dream world, and the cowboy aesthetic doesn't fly there.
Right.
These are these two bad boys coming into the SeaWorld aura, as we keep.
Yeah, and how you quickly become lame in that environment.
I think, you know what it might have been, though? You know what it might have been to me? I think it might have been, remember where these guys are from. They're from Amity, California. So, and they're going to Florida. I think these kids knew jack nothing about Florida. And I think when they got there, they thought, oh, this is in the South. There's probably it's Central Florida. There's probably a bunch of cowboy rednecks walking around. We got to blend in. So that's probably what it was.
Well, Sean Brody was coming from Colorado or someplace.
Yeah, it comes from different places. But maybe they're thinking that, you know, maybe they're like, that's Florida Cowboys.
Freaking California kids. Which, by the way, it brings me to another thing I was wondering is the timeline of this movie. Because this is a huge jump from 2 to 3 in many, many ways, as we've already talked about. It's a jump in tone. It's a huge jump of everything. It almost takes place in a different universe than the last two. We can see this as like a soft reboot of the Jaws franchise. But yet there is still connecting glue. Because like the Brody boys are in every single installment of this franchise. But they go from teenagers in Jaws 2 to full-grown men in Jaws 3.
But it's like how much time has passed? It's hard to say.
How much time has passed between 2 and 3, and also from 3 and 4? Because by the time you get to Revenge, they're played by 2 different actors, and I'm not sure. It feels to me like they went back a little bit.
No,
I feel
part 4 is a reboot. The part 4 is not a direct sequel to part 3.
Oh, so part 4 completely ignores 3.
Yeah, 4 ignores part 3.
And did it ignore 2?
No.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, part 4 makes it believe as though the part 3 never existed. So
that would be weird because
Mike Brody is married with a kid, and they're different. He's not an engineer or architect like he is in part 3.
He's done a lot between Jaws 2 and 3. Like become that engineer is completely right.
And then of course the brother is now a police officer still in Amity. He never really left Amity. He kind of just took over his father's position, kind of thing.
Is his father dead in this one?
No.
No.
There's some dialogue. They talk about it in one scene. They do mention him in present tense, like he's still alive.
He's like, my dad's the same way. Yeah.
So Roy Scheider's still kicking around in this universe.
Right. Yeah. He's still alive.
Part 4, he's dead.
They were hoping to get him back. I guess they're like they weren't letting it go yet. We're not letting it go, and then I guess he's not coming back. Apparently,
Roy Scheider has gone on record in saying that Mephistopheles himself could not persuade him to do Jaws 3. He was never in a million years ever going to set foot on that set.
It would have been like a Die Hard movie. It was like everywhere this guy goes, like a freaking shark attack starts happening.
I wouldn't have hated it though. I wouldn't have hated it if he'd come back again. But but it's but at the same time, it's funny that he intentionally took another movie that would take up a bunch of a time like Blue Thunder, so he wouldn't get the call, or if he got the call. He's like, they never called me, but they knew not to do it, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? Good for him, because Blue Thunder was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool movie.
It does have a new 4K release coming out from Arrow, too.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Daniel starred in it, too.
I'll probably get that one, because I love Blue Thunder, dude. I love it.
They made a TV show with that too. Apparently, they announced a Blu-ray release that has Dana Carvey in it. I never even knew about that.
Oh, that's right.
And Bubba Smith.
Yeah.
Bubba Smith.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of tangents, we're now going on because we're running out of things to talk about this movie. Finally,
No.
I want to talk about the Back to the Future connection with this movie. There's one obvious one, of course, is Leah Thompson, who of course played Marty McFly's mom in Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. But also, let's not forget that classic moment in Jaws 2, where Marty goes to the future, the year 2015, and almost gets eaten by a really badly CGI shark.
Right.
That's on a marquee for Jaws 19.
Yeah. Right.
Which right. And of course he has that great line, the shark still looks fake. And you know what, by then, if it's that level of CGI, yeah, the shark would still look fake. And you know that by then they would have just been CGIing the shark at that point.
Yeah.
But I did some math and I was like trying to figure out like if 1 through 4 exist in the world of Back to the Future, like how many Jaws which apparently this Back to the Future exists in a world in which this movie and 4 had to have been huge successes. Like they're very different movies. So I'm like, how many Jaws movies would they have had to make to get to 19 by 2015? And I think I did the math and I sucked at math. So I had to get my wife to help me with it. And she guesstimates that they would have had to make one Jaws movie every 2 years in order to get to.
Yeah, that's somewhat. That's I can believe that because they were like pumping those Friday the 13th movies out one a year. But if it was like 2 a year, like the only time they were doing that was like with the Mummy movies. But but if it was like 2 a year, I wouldn't believe it. But
the only difference though is that the Friday the 13th movies are much cheaper than a shark movie.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they got cheaper to make as they were going. It was
another good scene in Jaws 3. We've briefly mentioned it, but I can picture how amazing the storyboards would have been. Is when Fitzroy is pulling himself along that line with the shark coming up after him in the pump station. So that's like such a different concept for a Jaws movie. You've got like this claustrophobic tube with the shark coming at it is giant. He's pulling, and then he's like stabbing into it, and he's getting pulled in and I mean that I think that would have been terrifying. Like had they had the resources to really do that scene and just give me a wide shot looking down the tube with him pulling and the shark coming up the tube behind him. I mean that's such a cool concept, you know. It's kind of funny when it happens in the movie, but it's
right.
a good idea.
I think it's the Fitzroy's character is kind of like he kind of makes some sense sometimes, but at the same time he's kind of presented as a villain. But he's there as an oceanographer to I guess get something cool. But some of the stuff he does is counterproductive. But he wants to like kill the shark. He wants to blow it up, and then Kate says no, we're not going to blow it up. We're gonna tranquilize it. But he wants to actually record it getting blown up so he can sell the movie.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely looking for his best interest, but blowing up the shark is something that they have to do eventually. Even Dennis Quaid's character comes around to that conclusion next. But it's funny, even like Dennis Quaid's character is kind of like more in line with Fitzgerald's character. Right away, he's like, man, we don't want to mess with this shark.
Well, he's kind of like the Hooper of this movie because like this movie does homage and steal stuff from the first movie. And this is probably, Calvin Bouchard is basically the mayor in this movie.
Yeah, he's the mayor for sure.
And you have your Brody, of course, and you also have your shark expert. But in this case, the shark expert is a jerk, and the shark expert actually is kind of more like the cliche of the sci-fi monster movie scientist, not a mad scientist, but a misguided scientist. He's the scientist who's like, we need to communicate with the alien invaders. We need to go in and communicate with the monster. We can learn so much about this creature if we just get it alive. And of course, he always gets destroyed or eaten or something.
The girl is more of the girl's the
scientist, but he wants to blow it up until later on. Like I like the way he's just kind of. It's not like a strong argument. He's not like. Once they decide they want to tranquilize it, he goes along with it and he doesn't try to blow it up.
Well, you know why? Because he wants to do whatever's going to make money. And that's why I said the whole thing about greed comes in, because Dennis Quaid's character, or no, not Dennis Quaid, but Bess Armstrong's character tells them that they would make more money at the park if they kept it alive, to be the only park with a great white in captivity. And that's what kind of said, oh wait, maybe we can make more money this way. Okay.
And she's not wrong.
Yeah, she's not wrong. She's not.
They can't keep it alive anyway. Apparently.
Yeah, no,
they don't really know that, really. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
right. You're right, Kevin.
Think she would know,
back then, Kevin, you're right. They did not quite know that for sure. Now we know that for sure. Yeah, now we know that you cannot keep a great white in captivity. It would not work.
Yeah,
I think they tried it. I think another thing about it, I think they tried it in an aquarium in China years ago, like maybe in like the late 90s. They tried, and the poor thing died like a week into it. I think that's what happened.
It's awful though when they put those big ones in tanks like that. It's cool to see them, but they usually don't survive very long. Anyway.
You know what? And that's another thing that's happening here in Georgia. Yeah. Like one of the crowning beauties of the Georgia Aquarium was the whale sharks. Yeah. We had, and whale sharks don't eat things except for baleen or krill or whatever. But they're huge, majestic. They're the biggest fishes in the world, and up until fairly recently, they had like 4 of them, and now they're down to 1.
Yeah. How long have they been there?
I thought they only had 2 at a time. And
then... back of the days, they had like 4, but they transferred one of them, and then one of them died, and then recently one of them died, and now they got 1 left, and that poor thing is so lonely. I think it's gonna die soon too.
Yeah,
they shouldn't keep those big animals in cages, anyways.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. But yeah.
But that concept was no one had really had or utilized in the film before, and so it was very new for this film. I mean, keep in mind that when this came out, that everyone thought sharks in the wild would kill you and eat you, and we all know that that's not really how sharks work. But that was the impression that most people had. And so this movie trying to tame a shark in captivity was something novel and new. And maybe like, maybe we can do this. Maybe we should do this. But obviously the way the story unfolds is maybe you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it kind of sets the mom shark off. I think the mom shark was already kind of set off to begin with, though. But I think it kind of puts her on that track to bust through that window.
So wait a minute, Dave. So wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that this shark has motivation, and that motivation is revenge?
Well, listen.
You're saying this movie should have been called Jaws: The Revenge?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I said the second one should have been called Jaws: The Revenge.
Right?
I said that when we did the
podcast.
Oh
yeah, because he is kind of because in Jaws 2 they're saying like it could send out distress signals or something, and that this shark may be be replying to those distress signals. Well, I was watching Jaws 3. I was going like, wait a minute, Jaws 4. The tagline was "This time is personal," but it was personal on Jaws 3. I mean, this shark is. I mean, it's not a
shark
person.
Always takes the shit personal, man. He's playing around.
Right. Or it's more or less Ellen Brody's revenge.
Right.
Killed her family.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
The other movie, the shark is having their revenge.
Yeah.
My family, I'm going to eat you.
That's right. Oh, and also in this one, I always thought Jaws 4 was the first time the shark growls, but he's growling all over this movie. He's going.
I think the filmmakers think that that's terrifying to an audience. It's same with the chomp because I think that at the time they think that that's like people like sitcoms used to have the laugh track. They think that audiences need that stuff, and I don't think the audiences do. And audiences nowadays know they do. They don't need a fucking laugh track. You don't need to be told when to fucking laugh. We know when to laugh when that shit's funny. We know when to be terrified when that shit's terrifying.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Yeah, I think that's how that is now.
I think it's great though. I think it's great the shark growls. I think it's great. And in Jaws 3, in the context of Jaws 3 and the kind of movie it is, it's great that the shark is growling. I would say, let me just say my favorite probably moment though in this movie. My favorite chunk of the movie is, and you're talking about Dennis Quaid being on cocaine during this movie. The stuff where they're trying to get the people out of the water is just such a chaotic, great.
I forgot all about that. Yeah,
so great.
It's so much fun watching Dennis Quaid.
It's so great.
But I was gonna say something about like when I was like watching, I was just like, it's funny how nobody in the park but Dennis Quaid is on the same page. It's like, why aren't there speakers like telling people to get out of the water? And everybody, like all the main people know about the problem, but he's like, it is almost like he's crazy. He jumps on the damn like golf cart. He's like flying and he's like wrecking into shit, you know?
I think that's the homage to, whatchamacallit in the second movie when he's like, everybody
Right. And there's but nobody's paying attention to him. And it's just like one man against the system.
Yeah.
You know?
There should have been alarms.
Come on.
Yeah. There should have been alarms blaring at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Like... Get out of the way. But you do have his two cohorts. You got the British guy. You know, he's like, get out of the water now. Get out of the water. Yeah. And then there's the other guy, his sidekick. He's pulling people out of the water, and he gets into a fist fight. It's just such great chaos. Yeah. It's just so great. And at one point, he tips over his.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious.
In the golf cart, and hits some stupid thing, decoration. He's like, God damn, get out! He's just having the worst day.
Well, I always see that scene as now that I've seen the second one, actually seen all of them. I always see that as the scene where they're just trying to be like 10 times more than the previous one.
You know, there's gotta be an alarm. It's just switch. There had to have been one that you just like turn it on. And think about it, you're in the water, and you hear it, you're gonna get out of the water. You know?
Absolutely. Like... But you just see some guy way on the other side, just like going crazy. You're going, what's that guy's problem? You know?
I have to look at I think you have to look up to see if that was actually possible back then to have those type of alarm systems.
Oh, they have speakers, dude. I mean, I'm sure they would have to go like
that Calvin guy uses the speakers at some point.
Yeah,
doing it.
But he uses the intercom system. And keep in mind, this is the 80s, and it's not the technology we have today where we can wire everything up the way through fiber cables and shit like that. Because I do that for a living.
But this is like a simple way.
This isn't like a hologram. They're just trying to like.
I forgive that because I've worked at the World of Coke, and the World of Coke is not like that. They don't have the systems interconnected where you can make one announcement to the whole World of Coke. It can't. It costs too much money, and they were.
Boo! They have like tornado sirens and the whole damn town.
But that's tornado sirens because they're designed that way. And even if you look at the way Hurricane Katrina and every place else was, they don't have that in place everywhere because they don't always think they need it. And if you don't think you need it, you're not going to put the money into that.
Okay.
And honestly, on this point, I'm with Kevin because I think from what we gather from the structural integrity of this park, I think we can assume that they cut some corners. I mean, they cut a lot of corners.
Even the gate that goes into from the outside to the lagoon, like really, the shark just bangs into it and knocks it off of its wheel to keep it from closing. I'm like,
hilarious.
I don't think that they're going through and spending $10 billion to make sure all of this shit works the way safety-wise it should work.
No, they didn't. But also, having said all that, clearly this shark has superhuman strength. Like this shark is like the Superman of sharks. Well, it is able to do things that most normal sharks cannot do.
Well, for starters, well, he can swim backwards.
He can swim backwards. I noticed that. I may have never noticed that before this last watch. I was like, oh.
He kind of like moseys back out of the pump and everything. I'm going like, wait a minute. I said like, Alexa, can sharks swim backwards? Alexa was like, fuck no.
This
I noticed that
your Alexa
these sharks
responds to
are
you
they're
with that.
superhuman.
Like-
There's something up with them because they don't.
you
behave
keep
like regular
keep
sharks.
backing into Thomas's theory about demon sharks, Dave.
No. We're not even going to entertain the demon shark.
Yeah. But
All right.
I think there's something supernatural or something different about the shark.
When we get to part 4, we can talk about supernatural, because in the cut stuff, there's supernatural shit that they threw in there. But we're not getting into
They tried their best to try to make it make sense, and they're like, we're cutting that shit because nobody's gonna like it.
Nobody's gonna like that.
Well, no, I honestly believe that this is a film where the spectacle outweighs everything else.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's supposed to be a summer blockbuster movie spectacle. They don't care if the logic is sharks can't swim backwards. They don't care about the logic. Oh, it's 35 feet. That just seems fucking huge. Like, no, it's gonna be cool. It's a big 35-foot shark because we have to be bigger than the first one.
Right.
In the first movie.
I bet you there was a conversation about that, though. I bet you somebody was like, sharks can't swim backwards, and they were like, shut the fuck up. You know?
And
Who the fuck are you? All right?
And they probably were like, look, dude, you know what? If you shoot a freaking compressed air scuba tank, it won't freaking explode like 10 sticks of TNT either.
Yeah,
you know, we see movies all the time that skirt on logic when it comes to explosions, the shit that won't actually ever explode. So why do we criticize this movie for doing something very similar? It's just it doesn't hide it as well.
I will say we say to me, like, when I criticize something, I'm not hating on it necessarily. Some of this stuff that I criticize, I'm actually thinking is hilarious, and it makes the movie more enjoyable to me.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed.
I will say that...
Now, had this been like National Geographic presents Jaws 3D, then I would have been really pissed off. You know,
that would have been a really different movie.
Yeah. Nothing happens. You know, it's like Interstellar, when they say, like, we talk to scientists and this is what really happens when you go into a black hole, you know, and then you get stuck in, like, behind the bookcase and you have to watch your daughter grow up without you. Okay, so
Conkle, and when you said National Geographic presents Jaws 3D, I said that's a different movie. I'm thinking like that movie would be like in a violent nature, but with a shark.
Oh, yeah.
Where the entire movie is just a nature documentary where you're sitting and watching a great white shark murder people. That's the entire movie.
and you hear from the surface, you hear Dennis Quaid going like, oh, you know, but you don't see it. You just hear.
I'm telling you, I'll bet you somewhere out there's some ambitious filmmaker who's thinking that's what we have to do.
That's it.
That is the new shark thing. We've got to do a killer shark movie from the shark's point of view.
Well, I think this movie would have been good because it's like, I'm going to bust these fish out of here. I'm going to mess up this evil corporation, enslaving my fish brothers and sisters.
Yes.
But if you do it from the shark's point of view, you never actually have to show the shark, so you can probably get away with it.
Yes, and it would be nice and relaxing. We're just seeing this thing drift throughout the coral reefs and swim under somebody's boat. Then all of a sudden, death.
Dude, do not knock that. If someone does that right now, they'll probably make a shit ton of money because of as many crappy shark movies out there already. You could probably make a shit ton of money just selling that concept.
They are making
POV, the movie.
Yeah, I mean, they are making Violent Nature too, so
that actually looks kind of cool what they've done with the concept of that. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
The concept does it's Friday the 13th. That's what it is. It's at a summer camp. I was like, oh, that seems really fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm not on board with a shark point of view movie. I don't know about that.
Sounds like to put a wet blanket on all our dreams.
No, it sounds like the Terrence Malick Jaws movie.
Yeah. Dude, I would watch that. I watched the heck out of that. Terrence Malick's Jaws. I would watch that.
Coral reefs, multiple fish blood,
and like Roy Scheider just like musing poetic about like theology while he's looking outside the boat and tossing chum. And then all of a sudden,
you take 3.5 hours long.
But you might. I mean, if you do the shark point of view, you might actually use the demon thing because the shark has to do the demon work. A shark can actually be devil worshipping under the water, like a book, you know.
The start is like the Necronomicon somehow gets knocked off a boat, and the page opens up, and then the shark sees it and reads it. I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Whatever. Okay, I got the title for that one. Necronomic Shark.
Necronomic Shark.
It hasn't been made yet.
I think there's 7 of those already, Kevin. I think they're up to Necronomicon Shark 7 now.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the moment this podcast drops, somebody's gonna hear what Kevin just said and be like furiously typing away on their keyboard.
Necronomic Shark.
Yeah, well, it writes itself, you know.
No, what it would have to be is like a demon-possessed person gets knocked off a boat. The shark eats the demon-possessed person, and then the demon goes into the shark.
Yeah.
I think that was Shark's Assist, actually.
No, okay, perfect.
That could be kind of like the zombie sharks.
Right.
Well, I can't think of the movie. Fuck, there's a movie where a shark eats a bunch of zombies, and all the zombies come out of the shark and make the shark walk.
Ooh,
oh my god, what the fuck is that movie? Oh,
it sounds like an anime I saw.
It is. It was an anime that they made into a live.
Zom 101.
Yes. That's what they made it into a live action movie. I was like, I just saw a shark walking with zombie legs. It's a zombie.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
The cartoons.
And crazy.
Yeah, I haven't seen the live action, but that cartoon was great.
Oh yeah, cartoon was great. They did that in the movie. I was like,
cool.
That's crazy, great. So yeah.
See, this is why I cannot do our new bit, the franchise this with the Jaws franchise, because whatever crazy, bizarre, insane, silly thing I could come up with for titles for further Jaws sequels than Jaws 4, to imagine what Jaws 4 through 19 would be like, could not compare to what's actually being done or been done over the years. Yeah. I like to just sometimes just imagine that some of the better ones are really just Jaws movies. Like Deep Blue Sea, you could easily imagine that being set in the same world as this movie. You could easily imagine Deep Blue Sea, or you can imagine Bait being set in this world. You can imagine,
Bait 3D. Remember, that was in 3D too.
Oh, crap. Yes, you're right. It was. Oh, my gosh.
Shark Night 3D.
Shark Night. Oh, yeah. See, same thing. They could have just slapped Jaws at the beginning of it, and I think the only reason why they didn't was because they didn't want to pay poor Peter Benchley's estate. Yeah, that's all there is to it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea actually would have made a really cool sequel to Jaws, dude.
Yeah.
I ranked the Jaws movies in a video, and I'm like, just to make this more interesting, I'm gonna put Deep Blue Sea in here as one of the possible movies. I rated it like the 3rd best Jaws movie. So,
yeah. Well, it's kind of like Jaws, and it's kind of like the Alien and Aliens. So they could have called Deep Blue Sea Jawses.
Yeah. I mean, this movie
Jaws is.
It is weird that this movie is the only Jaws movie with 2 sharks. I mean, to me, Jaws 2 should have had 2 sharks.
Should have had more than 2. It should have been a lot of them,
Well, by the time you get to Jaws 5, they would have had 5 sharks.
Yeah.
So
doing a bank heist.
They would have had 2-headed shark attack or 3-headed.
Right.
It makes it more believable, not necessarily like realistically believable, but if there's more than one shark, which happens here, that some people that the shark will get full. If it eats too many people, it's going to get full. It makes it more believable when there's more than one shark. It always does. Especially that's an animal that eats people,
Yeah, that's the thing I never again the thing I don't like about this shark is that it has no rest time between kills, and it just chomp chomp chomp. That's all it does, and it swallows most of its prey whole, and which is more of a tiger shark thing, by the way. The great whites don't really do that. And so it's like,
well, it had to for that gag to work with the grenade. So
I gotta say this poor shark just has a nasty habit of eating explosives, which leads me, of course, inevitably to a major problem that this movie has with its climax. Which again, bring us back to that scene, because that is the one thing that really I think sets this movie apart, is that daggum scene. Which has no buildup almost, by the way, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Like, they're in the control center. which Conco calls the Starship Enterprise.
Mhm.
It's such a stereotypical like computer from the 70s background that actually I think they used it in several other movies and TV shows after that. But all of a sudden they're trying to do stuff and they think the shark is under control, and then all of a sudden, bam, there it comes. Not moving its fins at all, just kind of slowly advancing. And then all of a sudden, Dennis Quaid sees it, and then the girl sees it, and then Louis Gossett Jr. sees it, and it goes slow-mo.
Yeah.
Love it.
And we see...
They thought that was so cool. They used it again in Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh,
yeah. and they're like...
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And then in comes the shark, who stops and hovers.
Yeah.
For a split second, which is impossible. And then the glass comes in with the water coming in. And when I saw that again, I'm like, they're all dead. The glass would have shredded them to ribbons. The pressure from the water coming in that quickly would have just annihilated everybody. They're all dead. Everything that happens after the movie is a Jacob's Ladder scenario. It's just their last death dream. But anyway, I thought, so if you don't take that more realistic scenario, Dennis Quaid is able to get his breath mask back on, and so is the girl. I don't know. I don't see.
How do they always? Can you put a mask on underwater like that? It has to be
sure
done
can. Sure you can.
Okay.
There's like a thing you press and it goes the water out. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, scuba tanks are awesome. I tried to do that with snorkels and never worked. But yeah. So, and then that's when, thankfully the porthole is a little too small for the shark to get his gigantic 35-foot head in. But chomp chomp, he kills that one guy. Chomp chomp, still trying to chomp chomp. And then that's when Dennis Quaid comes in and sees his buddy still hanging on to the grenade, and gets the girl to get a bent pipe to get in and pull like a little fish hook inside the mouth of this gigantic killing machine, and pull the thing, and that's what blows up the shark. Excuse me. And I thought to myself, well, what's missing here? What's missing here is that Brody Jr. Sean, is it Sean or
Mike Brody?
It's Mike. So Mike's the superstar. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Mike's the older brother, Dennis Quaid.
Mike's the older brother who did not learn anything from his father. He should have learned that when you kill the colossal beast of the sea, you must have a kill line. Like his father gave a smile, you son of a bitch. You have to do it. But I mean, I know he's got a scuba apparatus on. He couldn't really do that, but he could have tried. Yeah, he could have tried. And you know what he could? And you know who would have made it work? Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger would have made it work. Mm-hmm. And so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. My Schwarzenegger alternators for the moment that which Brody again? Mike Brody. Imagine Mike Brody, as played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, kills the shark with his one last zinger, that one little explosion for your movie. Here we go. Schwarzenegger alternator. I got 4 of these. Here we go. Now, of course, we all know that the shark's nickname was Bruce in the first movie by Steven Spielberg. So that's what will make this joke make sense.
Maybe like
Number
Bruce
1.
3, maybe. They called him Bruce 2 in the second one. So
Bruce again. So this would be Bruce the Third.
Yeah.
It's a female shark, so it's Brucey or Bruce A.
Brucette. So, number 1. Bruce, after that performance, I think you're really going to blow up.
Okay. All right. Number 2.
Number 2. Nobody screws with the Brody boys.
I love that we've come up with the Brody boys.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a TV show.
Brody boys for life, yeah. Number 3. Thanks for holding on, buddy.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because the guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, for those, that's only funny for those who've actually seen the movie. Number 4. Finally, you really need to stop eating explosives. You could lose your jaws.
Okay.
And also, that would have been the way to actually incorporate the title into the movie, which I don't think any of these movies actually do.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
It would have been bad. Yeah, if they incorporated the title into it.
Okay, I don't know how you would have done Jaws 3D into the dialogue. That's pretty funny. Okay, so he could have said. Okay, here's one thing I did notice seeing this movie. He should have been able to. I know he had his thing on. He should have still been able to say something, because when they're floating around in that little sub and their scuba gear and it's filled with water, they're talking back and forth the whole time, and I was going like, how are they talking? Hey, like, hey, look at there, Mike. Let's go over here. You know, like, oh yeah, let's go there. I'm like, I was going like, they're in a full. That thing is not watertight. It's like got water all in it and everything. And I was going like,
that's a good question. I don't know. I never watched that.
No, I never got that either. But when you see it, you go like, and it's weird because all the shots of them in it, it looks like they're not underwater. It looks like they had one shot, and I don't know. It's
like they're inside of like a submarine thing. Maybe there's not water in it.
No, there was, dude. If you see it, there's water all in it. And
I don't think it's completely filled, but there's water in it.
There's like a little bit of a air, just trapped air at the top that's kind of floating around, but it's not
I never thought about that. I never thought
it was me neither. I never noticed it before.
You know what it reminds me of? This just came into my head. I had a memory unlock here when you mentioned that. What it might have been, I don't know, but it might have been this weird bit of experimental technology that was going around, I think, in the 70s and 80s with scuba. They were trying to figure out a way to get reliable comms between divers. And one thing that they experimented with was this system that utilized your jawbone. Because most people don't know this, but the reason why you could hear your own voice and part of the acoustics of your body producing voice is really that you're projecting through your jawbone. Your jawbone vibrates a lot of it. So they did this thing where they basically had a scuba system with a mic thing that hooked up to your jawbone somehow, like it was resting against your jaw. And when you talked or when you made noise that was kind of like talking, now you know how you can kind of make you can enunciate a lot of words when you're when you got food in your mouth, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently this system was able to somehow project those vibrations from your jaw in through the water into the jawbone of the other person that you were diving with. So they heard your voice in their head.
That's wild, dude.
And you could, and then when you talked, they heard your voice in their head because it was vibrating through their skeleton.
Weird. And it didn't catch on because it drove everybody insane.
Yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody who tried it went mad.
Yeah, it was too creepy. They didn't use it because it was too nuts.
They probably just shot the scene and were like, we need dialogue in this thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Talk. But I do feel like in Revenge of the Creature, they were talking somehow under the water too when they had their diving equipment on.
They had to have it.
They're in the swimming pool area.
They had to have that dialogue, man.
Yeah, it was really weird in that movie. It wasn't here. It just sounded very natural, like they're just having a regular conversation.
I mean, James Cameron did it most convincingly in The Abyss because he was actually using real mics in the helmets.
Right. Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Is that time? Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to say about the film before we get to rating the film? Because I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say.
No, I said everything. I said it. I got all my notes.
So I feel like in the final analysis, I feel like this franchise, specifically the sequel trilogy, as we will call it, is like a case study in not just diminishing returns for a franchise, but also I feel like it shows us accidentally what made the first movie so great. Because slowly but surely, they strip away all the elements that made Jaws work. The first movie. Because if you watch the first movie, what did they strip away? Spielberg. So Jaws 2, what is Jaws 2 without Spielberg and without Richard Dreyfuss? Without that great like 3-man, vengeance quest at the end of the third act? What is Jaws without that? You get Jaws 2.
Mm-hmm.
What is Jaws without Roy Scheider and Spielberg and John Williams' music, which we haven't even talked about, because the only thing that they kept from John Williams in this movie is a rather badly rendered version of the and you barely hear it most of the time. By the time you get to the fourth movie, they don't even use it at all. So once you strip all of that, you even strip it of its setting. This is the movie that strips it of its Amityville set. Amityville? It's Amityville, yeah.
Amity Island.
Amity Island, sorry. I thought it was literally the same town that the Amityville horror was in. But yeah, once you strip all those elements away, and the only thing that you keep is a shark and the Brody boys. What do you have? You have this movie. And then finally, once you strip that away, although the Brody boys are pretty much there, but what is Jaws without even them? And it's just Ellen Brody. And the music is not at all. Yeah, the music is not at all what it was. You finally get Jaws 4. So clearly, this franchise kind of shows us through reverse engineering. You could go up and be like, so if you took any one of these elements out, it wouldn't work nearly as well. If you took two of these elements out, it becomes pure camp. If you take 3 of these elements out, it becomes a god-awful catastrophe like Jaws 4.
But you can't. The thing is, like, they tried it with Jaws 2. They tried to do the same movie again in a way. You can't just, if they kept everything and they did it again, it also wouldn't work because it's like the same movie. They have to do something different.
And you gotta say, like, Jaws 3 is definitely not Jaws in like any way, really. I mean, it's got a shark in it, but it's a completely different kind of movie. I mean, it's a wild movie.
So I see it like this: the original Jaws is an accidental blockbuster that no one was expecting. By the time you get to Jaws 3, which is the theme for almost every third film in a franchise, they try and do something completely different than what came before, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I've said this before in many different part 3s and sequels already that we've discussed, and that is what they do here. They do something completely different, because by the time you get to the third part of the franchise, most people don't want to see the same thing. You have this idea that they want to see something bigger, more kills, bigger set pieces, bigger, more stars. All that, there's just this film is not trying to appeal to people who just liked the first Jaws. The reason why I gravitated towards this is because it's the first Jaws that has an African American in it. And so, I mentioned that before in the other podcast. Like, dude, the reason why I remember this damn movie so well is because it had Louis Gossett Jr. in it and Dennis Quaid. It's not because it's a good or great movie. It's because I saw people that I liked when I was growing up. First Jaws, had I seen it, I would have completely forgot about it as a kid. There's nothing in Jaws that would have made me gravitate to that film. Nothing. As a filmmaker, I can appreciate it much more because I love Steven.
That opening scene, that surely would have called.
As a kid, Jaws would have been a boring movie with a bunch of people talking on a boat.
Yeah, right.
That's what it would have been when I grew up. It would have been that. It would not have been a movie that I watched over and over and over again. Yeah. And most certainly the second movie, which was the last one I watched in this franchise, I don't even watch that one now. When we rewatched it for the podcast, I think that was the second time I'd seen it that wasn't a television version of it, because it just doesn't do anything for me.
I think the problem with the second movie, there's many problems with the second movie, not the least of which is the fact that they didn't get Spielberg back. If you're going to do Jaws 2, you need to do it with an artist who's just as accomplished as Spielberg. You also need to add something to the lore. You need to like explain what the heck was the shark's deal. I know it sounds stupid, but really you need to do something different. You need to do something that expands on it. And I thought, and again, I say they should have had 2 sharks in that movie. They should have had a male shark and a female shark. And the whole movie would have just been about Brody trying to stop those 2 from breeding. Because if they bred man-eating sharks, the whole ocean would have been filled with a bunch of man-eating sharks, and that's the end of human civilization as we know it.
Yeah, I think that is Deep Blue Sea 2 or 3 when they have the hundreds of little baby sharks trying to kill it.
See, that's the problem. You can't do, if they tried to reboot Jaws today, it wouldn't work.
Oh yeah,
no matter.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
What do you mean?
It would definitely, it would work. They would cut out a lot. They would make it more for modern audiences who have never seen Jaws or haven't seen all the sequels. They would make it more like The Meg. I said this before. They would make it closer to an adventure movie like The Meg or the Mummy, and it would make $1 billion just like The Meg did. Now, sequels after that, maybe not so much. But the first one, yeah, shark movies make a lot of money because they appeal to different things. We had The Shallows, we had Open Water, we had this. There is tons of movies that prove that they can make a shark movie.
Well, but the thing of it is, though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the thing of it is, though, like, how much of that is just the cultural impact of Jaws? How much of the strength of those movies, or should I say, maybe not the strength, but the success of those movies is spawned just by people who are affected by the cultural tidal wave that was the original Jaws. Even if you haven't seen the original Jaws, you know you've seen one of the sequels, or you know what it is. In fact, I think they did a study not too long ago where they played John Williams' shark music to little children or infants who had never seen Jaws. And it made them all scared, and it also made them all do the fin thing. You know what we did when we were kids? The whole shark fin thing, where you put your hand up and you put it underwater and you go da 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 da. Even people who haven't seen Jaws, even fresh humans, know what that means. There's this weird primal thing so that they activated with that movie. So I wonder how much of all that would not exist if they hadn't made the original Jaws.
I think.
Let me address something real quick. So I think that if they remade the movie and they did it very similar to the original movie, I think it would do fine. They've remade a lot of other movies, like The Omen, for instance, and it made a lot of money. I'm not saying it's going to be a good movie, but if they did it very similar to the first one with a higher budget, I think it would make a lot of money.
I think it's hard to do that.
I know it's going to be hard. I'm saying.
No, it
didn't work with.
I think it's hard because you have, for every Omen out there that you have the Amityville Horror, you have the freaking Pulse remake, you have all the other ones out there. Because
there's some real bad ones like the
Pulse and you have Psycho.
Hold up one second. When you have a successful one, it would be something completely different, like what they did with Dawn of the Dead. That is what it says is a film that does something completely different than the original one. You have to do that with a modern audience or it's not going to grab them. You could not do Jaws as a remake right now and then grab audiences in the same way because it's not going to be a surprise anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
Because the cultural reference for Jaws is 50 fucking years. You cannot do Jaws the way it is now and do a remake of it. It will not be successful. We all saw that in Psycho when they remade Psycho.
They did it shot for shot, though.
They did shot for shot.
I'm not saying I don't think they need to remake the movie. I don't want them to.
No, nobody's saying that.
But I'm saying I think it would work if they changed a few things. If they took it and they made it look more modern. And then they added more kills to it, and they kind of did the same thing. Just I think the script works. I think the script for the most part would work. Just not you don't want to do it exactly the same.
Well, you can't because the whole idea of a town doing what they did, the not believing the shark, has been done 1 billion times in shark movies alone. You can't do that in this day and age. You can't. You have to change it.
Plus, we have so much technology now at our disposal to track, photograph, digital imaging. I mean, to find the shark would be very easy. To kill the shark would be even easier.
Well, you had to set it back in the 70s, though. You wouldn't set it in present day time.
That's even trickier.
I think that would be that attitude, though. That's exactly the kind of the angle you would want to go with. Like, if they did Jaws, now we've got all this modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be so easy to kill Jaws now. But that's your hubris walking in. And then so you send them out there with all their bells and their whistles, but they're saying like the Jaws is a primal prehistorical force that has survived millennia. And we go in there with our high all puffed up on ourselves, but there are forces
kind of like Richard
of nature.
Character,
yeah,
the first one.
Absolutely. Your bell, you go in the cage. Cage goes in the water. Sharks in the water. So it's like, I mean, that dynamic of those three. So okay, so if you get like three really good actors, all right, and you get an interesting director, and you say like, look, this is not Spielberg's thing. This has got like can you imagine like an A24 version of it, or something, I mean, it's just like or navel gazing on the boat.
You apply like the Das Boot idea of the boat. It just make it really intense and really like say like the Wolfman, they get trapped in a cabin for most of it. It's just like in a location a lot more intense, or a lot more feeling like it's really happening.
Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea, but you're making like the ideal behind doing a Jaws movie is not that you go smaller. Like A24 would be a great company to do a boutique.
It could be the only way to do it good, though.
You couldn't, that's what I'm saying. You couldn't really do it in this day and age without going big. It's Jaws. Mm-hmm. That would be the impetus to go and do it.
But psychological horror, though, as opposed to like an action, it can be more effective, and it can, of course, lower the budget. But
because you're talking, well, that's the other thing. You're talking about a very, very in theory, a very lucrative IP. I don't actually know how the IP for Jaws actually makes any money other than ancillary rights and marketing shit. Because that's still making money off of all of that. But the movies themselves, other than the first one, I don't know how that all figures out. But without the stigma of the success of the original Jaws, you couldn't make it in this day and age without changing it for a modern audience and making it big. You couldn't.
Well,
the only way you can do that is to not call it Jaws.
Right. Well,
you call it The Shallows. The Shallows, brilliant.
You call the movie Jaws. I bet you it's going to make money. It's going to make money. Like if it's done right, or at least has some kind of like a cast in it, like who are famous actors, like people who are well known that everybody sees all the time. Like it had like Brad Pitt and Kristen Bell in it, or some other people like that.
Yeah. Well, you get like a small movie. They're going to be in the big movie.
They might if you call it Jaws.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
Bullet Train Jaws.
Yeah.
Watkins is clearly pining for the job. He wants to direct it himself. So producers out there, Daryl Zanuck Jr., if you're out there, whoever's running Universal, call Dave Watkins. He's got ideas. He wants to do it.
Again, I'm not saying at all that I think the movie needs to be made. I'm just saying if it
was
was made,
though, he'll deny it up and down.
I think it would make money too. I think it would make money too, because Jaws is like Coca-Cola. It's just the most recognizable. Now I agree. I mean, I would say it's the first movie is a 70s movie. I mean, it's got a feel of, it's got, it's almost got, it's trying to be a real movie.
Wait, what?
No, I think it's about as hard to do a Jaws remake or sequel as it would be to make a fucking sequel or remake of The Exorcist. They can't do it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It doesn't work.
Even with Mike Flanagan attached, I think it's still going to be really hard to get, because he tried with Dr. Sleep to do a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, and that was hard. It didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and that was artistically succcessful.
It was really great, but that didn't get people in.
Right,
That didn't get people in with Ewan McGregor. Mike Flanagan, who was still at the top of his game for audiences, horror audiences, still didn't get that people to go see that movie. Still, it's hard.
Well, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. I agree. But you guys heard probably just they've been talking about that Jaws prequel for forever, dude.
Yeah.
That was branded about, from what I understand, that was branded about when they were developing this movie. Right. That's one of the ideas. They were going to do a prequel, and they even thought about doing a part, like a scene, when they dropped the whole prequel idea and they went with Jaws 3 People Zero. One of the first scenes they were going to show was Peter Benchley himself playing himself in a pool getting eaten by a shark.
Right.
Which would have been great. But I'm actually, and then fairly recently, even up to I think 15 years ago, I remember reading about somebody wanting to do a prequel. Oh no, there was 2 prequels. There was one idea where it would have been like Jaws, but it would have been about that real life incident that inspired this movie that happened in the 1800s.
Oh,
so that would be interesting, retro Jaws, 1800s Jaws. That might be more interesting because now people have even less to fight the shark with than they had. So that'd be kind of interesting. The other prequel idea that was bandied about was you go to World War II and do the Indianapolis incident where you have a bunch of sharks and it's all from young Quint's perspective.
Right. Yeah. That's the one I heard. Yeah,
that's what Spielberg wanted to make that. That was what he wanted to do.
I think we discussed that in the last one. Yeah. I think the only way to make this work is to do a television show. And you can incorporate all 3 characters' storylines within that framework. So you can see Hooper's story, you can see a Quint story, you can see Brody's story.
And you can finally put in all those stupid subplots that they cut from the book.
And I think that is the only way that because the thing is, if anyone tackles it, they're going to go back to the original book. They're not going to make remake Spielberg's movies. They're going to go back to the book, the source material, and try to do something there. They'll say like The Running Man. We're going to go back to the source material and try to make it like the original source material, and it will probably not be as good or even close to it. But I think if someone was to develop a show that kind of takes all the ideals that Spielberg crafted and all the ideals that maybe the movies kind of streamlined in there, you could do each season that's based around different ideals, and I think it'd work. I think people would buy that. I do not think anyone would buy a movie. I do not think it would buy a movie. It would have a sequel, a legacy.
I think they should a legacy sequel. But that's what Jaws 4 is. But it's kind of like the Halloween H2O of Jaws movies.
Yes,
but they did it first. I would love to see a big giant budget version of Jaws 3. I mean, with these concepts actually done justice.
No, you laugh. But if we had gotten more sequels to the Meg, there is one of the Meg novels that does delve into that whole idea. It would have been really cool if they had gotten to because I've read all the Meg novels, and they would have gone to that. I think it's the 3rd or 4th one. There's even like a reality show one.
Oh my gosh,
they do that. It's kind of crazy, but it's cool. But
I'm surprised. You know what? I'm surprised that, and maybe in this alternate universe that the Back to the Future movies exist in, I'm surprised that they wouldn't do a thing where Jaws as a kaiju now in Jaws 3, he's basically a giant monster at this point. Wouldn't it be interesting if they? And this is stupid and ridiculous, but bear with me. It's not as stupid and ridiculous as anything in this movie. But the idea of what if Jaws, the shark, or sharks plural, this man-eating species, or maybe screw it. It's just one creature. It's just one immortal, undying creature that keeps regenerating. What if they eventually got to a point where he has the same trajectory as Godzilla? Where at first Godzilla is the terrible monster, and then by the time you get to Jaws 7, now Jaws has turned around and he is now defender of mankind, and he fights other giant sea monsters. Like it's Jaws versus like an evil giant squid. It's Jaws versus like the Kraken. It's Jaws versus like what?
I have to stop you there because that's already been done. You just haven't seen the movie. It's called Sharktopus. And that's your Kaiju there. And of course, they have Sharktopus versus the weird whale thing. I can't remember what it was. They've already done.
So that's the problem. You can't do these Jaws sequels because there's so many unofficial Jaws sequels. That's what we're really saying. It's already mutated and gone down 20 different paths.
Okay, so I do need to get to us rating the movie now because we go off a lot of tangents.
Wow. I thought we'd already had. Oh my gosh, my brain just.
No, we're gonna do it quick.
It started, but then it got off on this tangent about
doing
the movie remake. But yeah, because he was like, "All right, guys, thanks for coming." Like, wait a minute, let's go on for another half an hour.
Before we go off on another tangent, for everyone listening, if you're still listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies between 1 and 5. 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we like to do is take something out of the film, quote, or object to attribute to our ratings. What, guys, do you want to rate this film, and what object, quote, or saying are you going to attribute it to? And we're going to start off with you, Dave.
So I'm going to use the severed arm on the fence as sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You got it.
I'm going to give it 3 of those.
3 severed arms.
Okay.
On a fence.
What
in 3D.
What about you, Conkle?
Well, a less good one. I guess I'll give it 3 floating fish heads. Yeah. I think it's a solid 3-star movie.
And what about you, Thomas?
Well, you both picked and floating body parts.
Yeah.
And my original thought was I was going to pick the thing that I thought sums up this movie, basically the floating jaws that's claymation, basically is the 3D floating in front of you as the shark explodes. I thought, oh, that thing, that's perfect. But now that y'all have done those 2, I feel like I gotta break tradition somehow.
Okay.
I don't, but like I'm not sure how I can break it. So I feel like the only thing I could do is you did severed arm, you did fish head. I think instead I'm going to be a little less obvious. But I'm going to pick a piece of viscera. And the piece of viscera that I'm going to go with is the one that you got to search for. You got to really look. You got to go frame by frame to find the piece, the little ET doll that's in the viscera when the shark explodes. You got to find that little red ET doll.
I got to find it. How many?
According to IMDb, it's in there, and as we all know, IMDb is right in everything they say and or do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rate this movie. I was gonna be a lot more severe before we had our conversation. I really was. I was gonna rate this much lower. So instead, I think after our conversation, I'm gonna rate this 2.5. ET red floating visceras out of 5.
Sure, you were going to say 4.
No.
I liked it more than all you guys.
No.
Well, I know I like it more than all you guys.
Okay.
Oh, Kevin's gonna give it 5 visceras.
No, I'm not giving it 5. It doesn't deserve 5. Only the original Jaws gets 5. But like I said before, the original Jaws gets 5 in hindsight because I didn't watch it when it originally came out. But I do understand as a filmmaker its influence on the film arts and how well it is done. I do not attribute all of that from Steven Spielberg's great eye as a director. I don't believe that he was at the top of his game when he did Jaws. That's why there were so many mistakes that were happy mistakes. I attribute more of his later films as his a true crowning achievements. This was like a diamond in the rough, in my opinion, which is why he doesn't go back to do fucking Warner movies again. But for this film, I do truly love this fucking movie. As much as I do believe it is a guilty pleasure, but guilty pleasures of me can also get Philip Fitzroyce's in Jaws' mouth.
Nice.
The thing is, for me, like I said, I grew up on this movie, and I still love this movie. Even when I rewatched it, most of the time, you guys know, if I rewatch a film, and it's been a couple decades, I like, oh shit, I can't believe I still like that crap.
Yeah.
But for me, there were very few horror movies in the 80s that showed African Americans who survived in them. I was always surprised Louis Gossett Jr. was in this movie, because I don't believe he played in another fucking horror film to save my life.
Nope, this is the last time we will probably ever talk about him, because he has passed on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He was in a Mummy movie at some point.
Oh, that's right.
What? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Alice the Mummy. Yeah, that's right. So I forgot about that one. But the thing is, for me, I had seen this movie so many fucking times, and seeing him in this movie was like a crowning achievement, because I don't see a lot of people like me in horror films in the 80s. Yeah. It just wasn't done. Yeah. And for him to survive, that made it even more of a movie that I kept rewatching. And I'll keep rewatching this movie over and over again, above all the others. I love Jaws, the original, but this one is the one I'm going to throw in because it's so goddamn fun. I have to be in the mood to watch Jaws. I do. Yeah. This one I don't have to. This is click, play. Yeah. It's fun. Click. So that's why I give it such a high grade. There's a lot of guilty pleasure movies that I will not do that for. This one, Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 are some of the finest examples of guilty pleasure movies that exceed all expectations. I give them higher ratings than they probably deserve, but they're so goddamn good. It's ridiculous. Yeah. That franchise has two of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. So that's why I give it this one. So
I get it.
But I do want to thank you all, because this has been a very fun conversation. We've had fun conversation with these Jaws movies, and it's been great. I hope everyone out there who's listening has had a time and a blast listening to us talk about Jaws 3D. Please make sure to check out the other films in the Jaws franchise, because we have done all of them for this franchise tribute month. So you're going to have a blast listening to us talk about the Jaws films, whether you like them or not. Make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe. Do that thing you do on your favorite podcast, app, Spotify, or YouTube. And please make sure to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is every first and third Friday at 8 a.m. But that one delves into the amazing 60s, 70s, and 80s films of the Hammer Studio era. And if you enjoy classic horror films, you will enjoy that podcast as well. Thank you all for joining us. And please, from the bottom of all of our hearts, stay out of the water in theme parks called SeaWorld. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.